Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Bird 91. We are having an open panel discussion. Yes, we're talking to you today about, I guess, accountability. We had a great discussion the other day, and whew, baby, it was it was interesting. That's all I can say. And we had different perspectives. We had different thoughts. We had different understandings. We had an array of different conclusions that came to pass. But today, we want to come together and have a discussion. One, hopefully, that brings more understanding. Um, Chloe's giving me jokes. She just said not her having an argument with her husband about the topic. We want to be able to laugh by the end, guys. Okay. All right, so let's make that promise to each other. We're going to be laughing by the end of this show, okay? If we're going to be here for about 2-3 hours. So by the end of the show, we should all be what? Laughing by the end of this show, okay? If we're not, we're all in trouble, okay? We're all in trouble. So let's keep it cute. In the chat, listen, please, men and women, let's be respectful of one another. Treat people like they should be treated. I don't want to say like you want to be treated, because some of y'all, you don't be treating yourself well. So you want to treat me bad like you treat yourself. Don't do that to me. Okay? I'm playing. But, treat each other with respect. Love each other. Let's keep it respectful in this chat, right? It's family time, and it's good vibes. But we do want to have a real conversation, which does mean there are going to be some points that may hit each person, man or woman. It may be hard to hit. And I want to just say this for both men and for women. Before you come out the charging blocks, because if something hit you, before you come out the charging blocks, just think, yo, what am I trying to get across? That includes myself, okay? All right? So let's all make sure we're keeping ourselves conscious about that. We want to make sure that when we're getting our point across, I know tensions can get a little bit high and stuff, but just before you say it, just breathe. You know what I mean? Just breathe. All right, cool. So let's jump into this topic. We're talking to you guys accountability, men and women, who is the least accountable. I'm allow each person to kind of have their say. I am gonna be very stronger today, okay? Now normally sometimes I'm a big softie. I'll be letting people talk because I get happy on both sides when people talk well. You saw it last time we spoke. And then I was going for 5, and Dr. Person went for 5, and I let people go for 5. Today we're on 2. So if it gets to 2, when I say the last 10 seconds, you end your thing, it should end. Okay, so that we don't overextend the time, and also as well so that everybody can have their say and be involved as well. So today we're here to make points, to talk, to have fun, to engage, and to reconsider certain positions. All right, cool. All right, I've got a couple people on the behind me already that I can add to the stage as well. And so we're gonna kick off the conversation and start off strong, okay? As well, those in the chat, you can help me too. If it goes to 2 minutes, just let me know. Remind me, code just 2 minutes. Yeah, because you know me, sometimes I'll be letting people talk. If it gets to 2 minutes in the chat, let me know it's 2 minutes, and then we cut the mic off. All right, cool. Let's get into the conversation. Men or women, who is the least accountable, who's better at accountability, your reason, and why you think either one is or isn't. Or you can choose down the middle. Depends how you feel. You know what I mean? Let us know your thoughts. Let me start off with Doctor, because you're right next to me. That's the reason why I'm letting you go first, because you're right next to me, babe. I want to hear your thoughts in regards to this question. Men or women, who is better and why at accountability? You can choose the middle, you can choose left, you can choose right, whatever you feel like. But let us know your thoughts as well. Your 2 minutes start now. I feel like I'm on countdown time down. My bad. Go for it, Doctor.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you, babe.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
I am more going to say I play the middle. I don't believe that men as a collective or women as a collective take accountability easier. They may go through different pathways in order to reach it. Some may take a longer pathway, some may take a shorter pathway. I think we commonly see, in a short-term way, you may see more men take accountability on an instant to resolve or neutralize a situation that they feel may be hostile. But it may not be as genuine because it may not be as well thought out. I think you may see that more commonly in the male collective, simply just to not have to go through an explosion later. Sometimes you may see that. For women, you may see it take longer as a collective, but when it is done, it's maybe more authentic. You may not see something, it may take days or months, or for deeper seated situations, it may even take years, but once it hits, it's permanent. And I know I'm at 28 seconds. I'm keeping my own time, Kyle Joe. There you go. Fine.
Appreciate it, baby.
But that's how I see it in my world. I see more commonly, when it comes to short-term accountability, I see more men. Long-term accountability, I see more women. Okay.
I appreciate it, Doctor. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. Nice start. Sean, coming to you. Men or women, who is better at accountability and why? You can choose the middle as well if you feel like it. But let us know your thoughts as to why. Your 2 minutes start now.
I'm going to start off saying I think we hear the word differently. I think we look at accountability differently. As a man, I know that when I'm faced with an issue and those around me are faced with an issue, we try to see what solutions are there. And if it's something I did wrong, it's something that, I want to, similar to what Dr. 100% said, is I want to address it. I want to correct it. I think women might go through a different path. And in the other night, what I kind of learned is they have to explore all the options. It has to be vetted out. And I think that sometimes as men, that might look to us as not taking accountability because they want to explore the solutions. They want to look at both sides. And that can feel like not accountability for sure. And I think sometimes that slowness to us men can come off as resistance to seeing their wrongness in things. And, I think that's my thoughts about it.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. Broke but bougie. Broke but bougie.
Hey everybody. Let me start my timer. Okay. I want to address it from not on individual accountability. I think more of groupthink. I think of men and women, and let's say celebrities. Shaquille O'Neal admitted on a podcast that he messed up his marriage. His wife did nothing wrong. And the host, I can't think of that little silly ex-football player's name, was trying to make excuses for him. And he was like, no, there is no excuse. I had a good woman and I took advantage and I took her for granted. And I think what I've noticed, men and women, I say equally, we don't take accountability. But what I notice more with men is more of a group think. And you would literally have to say, well, would you like that happen to your sister? Then they go, oh, no, I would never allow that. And that's one thing I do notice between men and women, where women will kind of ream you out, even publicly, other women. But men, they don't usually hold their friends accountable publicly, and they'll try to make excuses. But both sides to me. One is not better than the other. I just notice men on the public accountability with someone that they like, they don't really do it publicly.
I appreciate it, Broken Bougie. Dahlia, talk to me.
Hi, everybody. Hope y'all are having a good day. We come in peace. This is going to be a peaceful discussion. Saying this for myself. So I said this earlier in the chat, but I feel like both men and women are equally delusional and living in denial, but in different ways. I just want to preface that statement. I think when it comes to rejection, that women really don't take accountability well for that. They do let a man tell them more than once that he don't want them. He will tell you in varying ways, both verbally and non-verbally, and you will really try to stick beside him for some reason. He don't want you to stick beside him, but you're gonna try to do it anyways. So I think that's an area where we really need to be taking accountability for it. As for men, I think that you guys are delusional when it comes to the realm of emotions. I feel like y'all will swear up and down that you are not emotional. And I feel like the prison rates say differently, that you are highly emotional and you just never learned how to control them and how to manage them very well. And I also think that when it comes to like the dating marketplace, as it relates to attraction, and this is a topic that got brought up a lot yesterday. Well, not yesterday. Well, yeah, I guess yesterday. Both men and women, I think, are probably equally. They equally lack accountability. We talk past each other on those points, and I feel like rather than just accept the fact that we are different and we require different things, we want to fight each other about what attraction looks like, or how we should be attracted to one another. So, yeah.
Appreciate it, Dahlia. Thank you very much. It sounds like what I'm hearing, and I think someone said it. I think it was Broke Bougie spoke about something, and Dahlia, you kind of touched on it as well. I think what I'm hearing, and maybe I can just initiate a conversation now and discussion, because of discussion we had backstage to some of us as well the other night. The groupthink situation, and I think Dahlia, you might have touched on this as well, in terms of there being different arenas where I think both parties struggle to take full accountability, right? Mm-hmm. So I think you said sometimes men, emotionally we might struggle in the area of taking accountability, like we're not feeling this, we're not feeling that, and when things happen, when things happen, we'll say we're not emotional, it just is what it is, or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Failure to really compute what's happening to ourselves. And then I heard the other side, which is obviously that, or at least I would say from my perspective for the ladies as well, is that sometimes for us as men, we feel that for the ladies, their groupthink is when it comes to things like relationships, when they are at a particular point in a relationship, we're like, how did you get there? And ladies are like, well, let me tell you the whole backstory. And we're like, actually, we just want you to be accountable. So I think maybe that's what we're hearing both sides. But so let me ask a question, and maybe we can get that conversation really flowing for both sides as well. So I think Sean mentioned this earlier on. So I want to ask you guys specifically, does accountability look different? Does it look different to men and to women? Does it look different? I want to ask that specific question and see, to your own knowledge, do you think that accountability looks different to both parties? If so, yes. Why? If not, why? We'll just starting to open that question board. I'm gonna start from the end and work myself back to the front again. Dahlia, go for it. I'm keeping time for you guys. Don't worry, you're good. Mm-hmm.
If you had asked me this question before yesterday, I would have said no. It looks exactly the same. But honestly, after hearing the panel speaking and then just watching everybody in the comments section, I realized that no, I don't think we treat accountability the same. I think that much like love languages, there's different ways to be held accountable. And to be honest with you, I don't really have an answer for that, because this is a new thought for me, and so I have to marinate on it. But I do think that there's something to the idea that what accountability looks like, I think, might be gendered, or maybe it's just based off of personality or your experience within your family's dynamic. I don't know. But some people, they really just need to hear you say, yeah, I messed up. I'm responsible for that. My bad. Versus some people who want you to take actions on that. And then what do those actions actually look like? I think that's different for everybody. Or maybe you saying it is enough versus I guess this kind of goes into like the realms of forgiveness, but for some people, just asking for forgiveness is enough versus the other person has to accept that that apology in order for the thing to be done and you can move on. I don't know. I think it's just different for everybody.
I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that, Dario. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Broke Boje, talk to me. Oh, sorry, I muted you. My bad. Sorry, sis. Go for it.
Okay.
Thank you, Dario.
I agree with Dahlia said, and I think it's in the communication, like the other night. I sometimes think like a guy. I'm one of those type of people. If you tell me something, I hone in on the first thing that I feel like, well, you shouldn't have done that. And I don't want to hear the rest. And I think that was the issue the other night. Most people want to tell like the whole story. And I'm one of those, if you say your man left you, but you told me, oh yeah, he's a 3-time divorcee, then I'm like, okay, I've checked out. Because right there, you just, hey, I don't need to hear the rest because that was the first red flag. And I think that's the way a lot of men are. When you tell them that first red flag, they're kind of like, I don't need to hear the rest of this because you shouldn't have done that. Where women, we want to tell the whole story and all the scenarios. And I think that was the issue when y'all were like, get to the point. Because I'm always one of these type people, choose better. But people want to do, the story. And I think that's one of the differences with men and women. Men hear the first red flag, they check out. They don't need to hear the rest of the story. Women want to hear the whole story to see how you got to that point. I'm one of those, I check out when I hear the first red flag. And I've had to learn to be more compassionate and listen, to the rest of the story.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much, Bridget Bucci. Corey, talk to me, sir. I'm liking where this conversation's going, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly where you guys left
My
off.
bad, sorry. I just realized, my bad, sorry, I jumped you in. So we're talking, obviously, the question that we're asking right now, does accountability look different to men and women? Do you think accountability looks different to men and women, or should it be exactly the same? Like, how do you see accountability? Does it look different for men and women? Do you feel? And if so, why? If you don't, if so, why?
Yeah, I think it should look the same. I've said many times before that men and women do look for the same in each other. So when it comes to accountability, I think the purest definition of it should be both something that a woman can take in and both something that a man can take in. I think we go into the weeds a little bit when we purposely try different than what's just simplified was right there in front of us. So I think that I think it's the same, and that's my reason. I just think that there are certain things that make us very much alike. But when it comes to defining words and actions, we should be able to give those the same way.
Appreciate it, bro. Sean, what's your thoughts? Accountability, does it look different to men and women? Do you feel like it looks different to women and women? And if so, how and why?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it does. I think we would like for it to just be universally the same, but it doesn't. And I think there is a differentiator, and similar to what Dahlia shared, right? It's like sometimes we're fighting to be the same, but we're really different. And sometimes we need to take a step back and acknowledge those differences, because I think that when a woman is thinking about accountability for a man, they're able to look at it and say, all right, you need to own what you did, because the expectation is that men lead, right? So the expectation is that we are responsible and we handle ourselves in a particular way. And when we don't do that and we fall short, they want us to own it. When it comes to them, because women are different than men, and we do subscribe to the notion of women not being leaders in our household, right? And it doesn't mean lesser than better than, it just means that men assume that responsibility. I think women are a little slower to accept their faults and they will kind of look to a man if his role or somehow a man was involved in whatever that situation was. Hence why we had a lot of the back and forth, right? Because it was like, well, what did the men do and what the men didn't do? And I think that happens because when women are thinking about responsibility for themselves, in a lot of instances, they're a little slower to take that on if they feel a man was involved in it.
Dr. 100, talk to us. What's your thoughts on here? Men and women see accountability differently or not?
I believe people, as individuals, use the tools that they have. And sometimes we don't have all the tools we need. Once you are able to reach accountability, I think it's easier to see clearer, obviously. But the path to get there, the road you may take to get there, you may not know which road or path to take. And it doesn't mean that one way is the right way. There's a lot of ways to flavor and design a cake, right? So it's not always a thing. I'm not, and I've said it before, I'm not a fan of group think. I'm not a fan of general glossing, but I'm very aware it happens. But I think we use the tools we have. And just as Dahlia had mentioned earlier, she said, I may not have an answer for this because some of this is a bit new for me. I think that's fair. Many of us we're the first generation, just like some of us are first generation college graduates. We're first generation able to address emotional and spiritual issues, where every generation before us in our community were completely survivors. They were surviving a very dense matrix of atrocities, economic, all these different things. So the tools that we're learning and we're creating, they didn't exist. So we're the first ones building, new tools, new emotional tools to work with. So it's gonna be weird at first.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Doctor. David, welcome to the panel. Hope you're good, bro. So,
Brotherly.
What's good, bro? We're talking today, obviously, about accountability. But the question we're asking right now is: do you think accountability looks different for men than it does for women? Do you think we're interpreting accountability differently? I want to get your perspective. You've got 2 minutes. Let me know your thoughts.
Yeah. Greetings, everyone on the panel. Shout out to everyone. So I think accountability is different for men and women. I think that women often consider a bit more nuances when they're looking at an issue before actually sort of going into accountability. I think they try to look a bit more into the nuance, like, what happened? Why is it like this? How did this happen? And things like that. But sometimes men are very cutthroat, straight to the point. You're supposed to do this. You didn't do this. You're out of line. Hold it. Take the accountability. And I think oftentimes, women also like delivery. I think is very key to women as well. I've heard guys say things like, fuck your feelings and things like that. And sort of, just deliver the thing, whatever the way they want to say it, which I think is a bit rough and raw and wrong, in my opinion. I think there's a bit of consideration that should come to the way you deliver your point. And I think that's oftentimes what happens, whereby women are like, I can't take accountability when you're coming to me in that kind of tone. So, I'll just keep it at that so I don't get flagged for running the time.
I appreciate it. Don't worry, I let people know when the last 30 seconds is. You're good. You was on time. Appreciate it, David. Thank you very much as well. We've got Chloe as well, so we can balance it out now. So we've got a bit more fairer numbers as well, which is good. Chloe, good to see you again. Miss you. It's been a long while since we've seen you on the channel. on the panel. Sorry. Want to get your thoughts. Accountability for men and women. Does it look different? Do you feel it looks different? If so, how? Why?
Absolutely. For one, we are women, we are reactive. So a lot of things that we do is because something happened to us that caused a reaction. So we tend to go in with the I only did it because versus just being accountable for doing it. And that's how we like, if a man cheats, it's like he has no reason to cheat, right? But if a woman cheats, it goes, I didn't feel loved, I didn't feel protected, I didn't feel this. Like, then it's more, more like, oh, I feel bad for her. She had an excuse. But let a man do it, there's no excuse. So I feel like women go into this, and I'm a woman, so I know we go into more of a emotional state as to why we reacted the way we reacted, instead of just taking that initial accountability for doing it.
Okay, Chloe, you didn't even use all your seconds. You sure you don't want to finish? Maybe you got about a minute to go.
No,
You sure you good?
no. I mean, I think that pretty much. I just think that at some point, that's what I'm struggling with now. Just being accountable for my own actions without what caused those actions. And sometimes, and that took me a while to start to realize. That's when I started to focus. Like, you might be on to something. As many times my husband was like, you just need to be accountable for your actions. I'm like, but you did this. And he's like, it doesn't matter what I did. What matters is the fact that you did this too. So two wrongs don't make a right, right? So if I do wrong because you did wrong, how does that make it fair? Or how does that make it right? I'm not gonna say fair, but I would say, how does that make it right? Because sometimes it can't be fair.
Okay. All right. Okay. I like it. Thank you, Chloe. Okay, they've started the madness. Fantastic, because I know that's the one that's going to start a little bit of trouble off. So we're going to honor that and ask a question off the back of that. Okay. All right. Cool. So, thank you very much, Chloe, as well. So everyone's answered here. Fantastic stuff. So I'm going to ask a question. Jay Brad's good to see you in the chat, bro. We'd love to have you on panel if you're free. Let me ask this question. So I'm going to ask it for the ladies first. On the back of what Chloe just said, I'm going to honor what she said, but I'm going to ask the ladies specifically, and everyone's going to get 2 minutes to answer it the way they want to answer it. When you hear only, like when she said only because, for ladies it's like we have a reason. There's a reason for why we did what we did when we're taking accountability. I'm going to say this for the men can probably vouch for this as well. Sometimes we do feel like that's what we're hearing, right? So that's what on our end. Sometimes we feel like what we're hearing from the ladies is, I'm taking, but because I did this because. But I want to ask the ladies. For you, is that how you feel that accountability comes out for you? I want to get your perspective from your own perspective. Do you feel like when you're taking accountability, that aspect of there's a reason why I'm this way, and this has to come out with that accountability. Do you feel that's what happens to women, or is that something different for you personally? I just want to get the ladies first before we let the fellas jump in. Dr. 100, talk to me.
Sorry, I'm double muted.
No, that's okay, babe.
Okay. Well, in relationship to the comment of cheating, since that's what Chloe had brought up, often, and I'm not one to have tolerated much of that. I've only dealt with really one person who I asked why, because it was important to me. I wanted to know why. I wanted to know root cause, origin, color, day of the week. I wanted all the data, and I wasn't getting it. It was just, blah, 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 whatever. It wasn't me who was looking for just a short accountability. I was looking for, I want the data. I want to understand. I can't relate to it personally on the other end, but on the flip, because that's not my stilo. Because if I'm thinking about cheating on you, I'm already gone. So, that's just how that go. I'm out. I'd already left. I already told you that I'm out. So that just isn't me. But what we do hear from women is there is usually a more emotional reason more often than not, simply because of how we relate. I've heard a couple of male friends, not friends, they don't necessarily need an emotional reason to have intimacy or sex with someone. Whereas women, it doesn't mean that you can't. It doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. It's just not as heard of. It doesn't mean that it's not possible. I'd love to say, yeah, that one dude that I kicked it with that one time, man, he ain't mean nothing to me. I hate to admit that they all meant something to me. Cause some of them I wish they didn't mean nothing to me, but that's a lie. But that's my world. So I don't have that, you know.
I appreciate, Doctor. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm gonna ask the ladies the same question. I'm gonna ask you to steer slightly away from the cheating aspect, just because I think everyone should be taking accountability for cheating. I know. Well, you ain't getting away with it, man or woman. I don't care what you say. But I want to just slightly stay away from the cheating aspect, so it doesn't focus too much on that. In just in terms of general taking accountability, let's say just relationship wise with a gentleman or whatever. Do you feel like women, you as a woman, I should say, apologies. You as a woman, do you feel like there's that? I just need to, let you know that I did it because of, rather than just saying, hey, let me just be accountable. I want to know. So, Broke and Bougie, talk to me. What's your thoughts on that?
Picking a response. The times I've taken, you talking like accountability in a relationship for something I've done. Now I'm gonna put a twist on this. Usually, if I've taken accountability for something I've done that wasn't great, see, I'm one of those type of women. I do stuff like this. Yeah, I did it. What? Now what? And it's kind of like a little mechanism, because when you say that, usually the other person is like, they wasn't expecting me to actually take the accountability. So when I say I did it, half the time they would sit there, oh, okay, not even ask. But normally, most women, usually we will give a reason for why, we did something, the accountable thing. Usually we do. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Usually you just don't do stuff just to be doing it. Most women, it's a reason behind it. I'm trying not to go to the cheating thing, but that's what I'm kind of thinking about. Usually when relationships with the accountability, is going to that. But I'm not going to go there since you said don't go there.
Well, you still got a minute, so okay, you can quickly address it. You still got a minute. You're within the scope. Go for it.
Okay. Well, generally with men will cheat because, they say they can have sex without emotion. And a lot of men actually think that women can have sex without emotion. I'm gonna tell you right now, lies. We can do the same thing too, but But most women, they will cheat because they are, emotionally involved with somebody, and the person hurt them, so they moved on. But that's it.
Okay. I appreciate it. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Bougie. Love that. Dahlia, same question to you. When taking accountability, there's a reason, like, you know what I mean? Like, is there a need to attach a reason to the accountability for you as a lady?
Actually, I wrote that down when Chloe was talking about it, because I don't necessarily think that, maybe this might be a fundamental difference between men and women, just generally speaking, but I feel like I don't think that we're trying to so much explain ourselves, but it's more just how we operate in general when we're talking to somebody. We tend to be fairly informative. So we're giving you the whole context, because in our minds we're thinking, oh, I'm trying to give you as much information as you need so you can make an informed decision, or you can at least understand the thought process behind what's happening. And you'll probably see women do that in everything. Even if they're trying to tell a joke, it's like, I got to go tell you point A all the way to point Z so you can get the joke, or else you're not going to get it. And I think that that's just how we are in general. I don't think that it has anything specifically to do with wanting to run away from accountability when it comes to something that we've done wrong. But I will say, though, that I do think that that has more to do with the fact that when I think about men in general that I've run into, this is purely anecdotal, they don't really share much about why they do the things that they do. It's locked up. And I think sometimes they're not even that aware of why they do the things that they do. And we can talk about cheating, but it comes into other areas too, where it kind of gets passive aggressive. And it's like, the real reason why is because, oh, well, you hurt my feelings when you said such and such about me in front of my boys. And that's the reason why I did this, but they won't tell you that though. So I think maybe that's the difference that we're really seeing. Not so much that we're trying to like account for ourselves in this way. So.
Thank you, Dahlia. Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Chloe, I'm gonna come back to you quickly, just to gloss over that. As you've heard all the different thoughts and opinions, does that line up with what you were saying earlier on? Just wanted to kind of just get a bit more from yourself quickly.
Well, so I'm gonna take it off cheating. I'm gonna give you a real example for me and my husband. Everyone knows I don't cook a lot. My husband does most of all the cooking. So we had a conversation. He said, I need you to just step in sometimes and cook more. Like, I get tired of cooking. And I'm like, well, I don't like to cook because the last time I was cooking, you was in the kitchen over my shoulder telling me to do this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. And for me, it was just giving him an example as to why I pulled back from doing it, because now I feel like you're judging me for doing it. For him, it's just like, I just need you to say, okay, I'm going to step in. So when we go to accountability, this is why we think different, because we naturally just want you to understand why we're behaving the way we're behaving. It's not necessarily to negate what you're saying. It's just that, okay, well, this is my reaction to what happened to it. So this is why I pulled back from doing it. So maybe next time, if I do decide to step up, because that accountability, you want to try to do it, right? Please don't be in the kitchen over my shoulder. So we're going to just move it away from cheating in general and just go to, just everyday life situations and accountability.
I hear you. Thank you for sharing that, Chloe. I appreciate it. Now I'm going to answer the gentlemen in terms of what they heard from the ladies. We're going to start our first. What did you hear from the ladies, so that they can know that we heard them? You know what I mean? Before we can reply and say what we feel about it, I want to know what we heard. Okay. So Corey, what did you hear from the ladies? I just want to see what you heard. Okay. So just want to see what you heard. Just 2 minutes. I want to see, what did you hear?
Okay, so what I heard is that the ladies feel more heard when they're able to speak freely about what brought the conclusion, what brought us to the point that we're at now, why we feel the way we feel. You feel the way you feel because I feel this way. So they want to be able to share their thoughts about what's going on as well, so it won't just seem like they're doing it for no reason. They need to be able to explain that, so it gives cause for that. That's what I heard.
Appreciate that. I just want to get one lady. Was that accurate? Was that an accurate summarization according to you? Would you say? I'm gonna get Broken Bougie. Just quickly, was that accurate summation? Do you feel like that was a accurate summation?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just want to make sure the boys are hearing you. Okay. All right. Well, don't worry, boys. We'll get the ladies to hear you too as well. So don't worry. Okay. Sean, I want to get your thoughts. What did you hear from the ladies? Just quickly, what you heard, real quick as well. Talk to me.
Adding on to what Corey said, I think sometimes women do more focusing on the why, and the why things happened, what drove the decision making. They are also in tune with how they felt in the moment. So if something took place that could have been the man's fault, it could have not been, but that we impacted, that is going to drive their behavior or the way they may react to us. So I think that a lot of times is the lens that it's looked through when they see accountability.
Okay. All right. Again, ladies, was that accurate response to Broken Bridge on the head, Dahlia's?
Yes.
Are you saying, Dahlia? Yes.
I think so.
You sure? Yeah. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Okay. So we've got some common ground at the moment, right? The man are hearing the ladies so far. All right. So men, I'm gonna ask you guys a question now as well in regards to this. Okay. So obviously Chloe shared something beautiful talking about the why. I want you to share also in 2 minutes why for you, why for you, in the sense that you feel some type of way when when there is a story being put, then, if I can say that. Am I, let me rephrase. Sorry, let me rephrase, because that would be assuming. I'm going to take it as if I don't know you. My bad. Let me retreat. I will rephrase that question. I apologize, boys. Okay, so for we heard, obviously there's differences for ladies and gentlemen, right? If I'm correct, men don't do as much as the why aspect. Would you agree? You just nod your heads. If I'm correct, would you say that men do less of the why? Do you feel?
I need your opinion.
Mandem, are you with me? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Yes, cool. I just want to get another head. Okay, cool. All right. So for the gentleman, how does accountability look for you guys? And I just want you to just explain in 2 minutes. How does accountability look like for you in terms of how would you want accountability to be? How would you want accountability to be? How do you see accountability being taken? And let's see if we can get some workings there. All right. So David, talk to me, doctor. How do you see accountability? How do you see it should be for you? How do you want accountability to be?
For me, I would say I want accountability to be something that people own up to firstly, before trying to explain whatever it is they want to explain in terms of their story. And I feel that women often want us to hear their heart and hear actually what their heart is saying, more than what they did. So they want you to see that, I'll never do this to hurt you. I'll never do this to make you angry. This is my heart. You know my heart. You know I love you so much. I did it because of this reason. So if you look at my heart and not what I did, you can reflect on the fact that you know me for who I am. And so my doing this is not a reflection of me as a person, but just an action for a certain reason. So just give you an example to round up. I got my wife into investing, stock market investing, credit card arbitrage, and things like that. And initially she was very skeptical and all those things. And then afterwards, she's like, oh yeah, I really like this because, the shares were making money and stuff. She wasn't happy when it was going down. But anyways, it was making money and she was happy and all that. And then she was not able to sleep one night. And then she started looking and then she found one stock that she wanted to invest in. And it's in my industry, but I was sleeping and she didn't want to wake me because I have to go to work in the morning. And she actually bought shares in that company. And then later on, she was telling me about it. And I'm like, you should have talked to me about this before you bought it. Then she started explaining to me that, it was in the middle of the night. I saw that they were undervalued and we can really make money. And I'm like, just say you're sorry first before you start going to all these stories. Because if I was the one that did it and took money out of the family purse to buy shares or whatever, you won't listen to an explanation. You want me to, you start telling me about how, we should have communication. We should talk about this. But so that's how I feel accountability should be, which is what I always do. Babe, I'm sorry. Okay. I didn't come early because of whatever.
Thank you, David. Thank you. I actually like the story, so I actually appreciate the story. It was actually a good eye opener. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Corey, how does accountability look like from your end? How does it sound like? What is? Give us a little insight, description of what you feel like accountability looks like to you. How does it want to sound? Give me that.
Yeah, so I think that accountability is really based on you owning up to, you taking ownership of an action, a thing, or something you did or said that negatively or positively impacted someone else or something else. And I think it's important what David said. I do back that up. But I think it boils down also to communication and how we communicate to the opposite sex. I think it boils down to understanding that how we receive it is not necessarily how we want it to be pushed out. So ladies, if say for instance, just giving an example here, if you have a story that you would like to give us and you know that men are more like meat and potatoes, you have to give us the meat and potatoes. But on the flip side of that, we as men have to be more understanding to how you want to be given information. So we need to start doing a better job of giving you our story, start being more vulnerable, more open to you. So I get that part of it, but we just need to understand each other and know that because we receive something a certain way, it does not mean that we push it out the same way and we want the same type of reception. Because when you tell us the story, you want us to respond a certain way. This is what I'm thinking. This is what you want. You want us to respond a certain way. You want us to internalize what you're saying. But sometimes we don't. It's not necessary for us to need all of that. We just want to know what's the root cause, how can we fix it, and how we can move on from it. And sometimes I think that's where we kind of have the differences there. But it really just boils down to us understanding how each other works and then being able to move in that way of compromise.
Appreciate Corey. Sean, how does accountability look like to you?
So the first step for me is the acknowledgement of what took place. I think that is one of the things I'm looking to hear first, right? Acknowledging it, validating the impact, right? So if you did something that hurt me, then I want you to acknowledge it first, prior to telling me the whys and all the things that led you up to doing that. And then a sincere wanting to, or a sincere apology, or some level of contrition for what you did first, right? And then we could get into the whys, right? Or if it was something that you did that impacted us, acknowledge what you did, um, and realize what the impact was, and then the explanation. But I think, for me, if that issue isn't acknowledged, if we are not talking about it, if you're not owning it, it makes it very difficult for me to be able to feel like you are truly taking accountability for what you did. And then I'll end here. I think sometimes where it goes wrong is because sometimes women interpret that accountability. I don't know if it's, just for whatever reason, how women were brought up, socialized. But they feel like if they admit a wrong, it makes them bad, or it makes them, inherently completely flawed as a person when it's an isolated incident. So I think maybe we could remove the shame of, just acknowledging that, sometimes a woman can do something wrong just the same way a man can, and it's okay to acknowledge that.
Okay. I like that point. I need to just highlight that because that could be a discussion point as well. The shame. I like that. Okay. I'll ask the ladies if that's how they feel. I like the point. It sounded good to me, but I need to ask the ladies if that's actually true. But I love the point that you said there. But I have to make sure it's correct. I have to ask the ladies that. But I want to ask the men real quickly. I want to do it in 30 seconds, just so that the ladies can also get an understanding of this. Sean, you mentioned it the last week. You said about, and Corey said it, and David said it. You said key word here, acknowledgement. And I want to quickly, just 30 seconds, 15 seconds from you boys quickly. When you say acknowledgement, what do you mean? I know I heard it in the first, but I want to make it very, very clear so we all get that quick understanding. You want acknowledgement first. Sean, because you were last, I'll go you first. Acknowledgement, quickly, what does that mean? What do you mean by the acknowledgement part? Just quickly again.
Just simply stating what the issue is, and understanding that you get it, right? Just understanding that you get what the issue was.
Okay. Thank you, Sean. Corey, acknowledgement. You also kind of mentioned that as well. You want to hear that first, in a sense, quickly as well. What do you mean by that quickly? Just to
I would say responsibility. Just own your stuff, whether it's good or bad. You always want to own your stuff. That's all.
Okay. David, same question to you as well. Just quickly.
For me, it's going to be admitting that you did something wrong, and that it actually hurt me. I think that's the way I look at it.
Okay. Appreciate it, David. Thank you. Ladies, I know there was quite a lot of information because I realized I asked the boys 2 questions, so it kind of, I know it might have been, there's a lot of information now. I should have just asked you first before I went to them again second time. So I want to get the ladies, what did you glean? So I want to get your 2 minutes. What did you understand of what the men were saying? What did you hear? And see if the boys also believe that's what they were saying to you as well. So if I first go to Chloe, just quickly, within your 2 minutes, sorry, not quickly, but within your 2 minutes, what did you hear the men say? What did you hear the men say? I heard them say.
I heard him say, don't make this about your feelings when it's about mine. And to just acknowledge that I'm telling you that I feel some type of way about something. And I don't need you to explain why. I just want you to understand that you made me feel some type of way. I interpret that because me and my husband have real open dialogue constantly. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It sounds like, stop making my feelings your feelings. Because now the issue isn't about what we're talking about. It's about how you feel about it instead of versus how I feel about it.
Mandem. David, was that a correct depiction from Chloe?
Yes, actually, that's very accurate. And I think another round actually made a comment she actually asked me that, what if they don't think they are wrong? And to me, I think that's the crucial part of it. Knowing that even though you don't think you are wrong, it hurt me. And admitting that what you did unintentionally hurt me.
Appreciate it, David. Thank you. Corey, was that a correct depiction? Just real quick, just 10 seconds. Was that a correct depiction, what you heard from Chloe?
Yes, I agree with what David said, 100%.
Beautiful. Sean, quick depiction. Was it agreement, what you heard?
Accurate, yep.
Lovely stuff. I think it was accurate too. Dahlia, what did you hear from these? I almost call these boys hyenas. Turn David in my head. I'm so sorry. Go for it, Dahlia.
That's because you was on Anton's channel earlier.
I know. Stay away from there.
Okay, so I took notes because I'm corny like that.
Fair
but
point.
What I heard a lot was ownership over our actions. I think, Corey, I think you were the one who mentioned something about getting to the meat and potatoes of it, which in my mind means we're trying to cut to the heart of the problem and push into solutions. I don't want to hear about all this outside stuff. We can get to that later. But right now, I need you to acknowledge that this is what you did. It hurt me. And I think the reason why it's important that we acknowledge that is because it's the confirmation that you are not crazy to feel that way. And it's like, if you don't do that, then it's like, okay, so am I crazy because my feelings are hurt because you did this thing? It's like, no, you're not crazy. I did do this thing. You should be hurt by it. I was there wrong. That's what I got out of this.
Appreciate it, Dahlia. Sean, did you hear? Was that correct? A depiction again? Beautiful. Corey, was it correct depiction as well?
Yes.
Thank you. David, correct depiction?
Yes, very accurate.
Thank you. Rokabuji, talk to me, baby. What did you hear the men say? I've still got hyenas in my head. I need to get it out.
I'm going to be honest with you. What Dahlia and Chloe said. I mean, I agree. I'm just going to be honest. I don't want to, I'm like on the same page. But one thing I will admit that I had an issue with as a woman, especially being a Black woman, I used to work in a very white male environment back in the day. And my problem was, like, I could say I'm sorry to Dahlia, okay, and take accountability. But if it was Sean or Dr. David or you, I couldn't say I was sorry because I would get into work business mode where men teach you. Men, if you never was in business, men never say I'm sorry. They say, my bad, something like that. And I kind of took on that trait, and I had to learn that if I can say I'm sorry to a woman, I should be able to say I'm sorry to a man.
Okay. I'll take that on.
Yeah.
But what did you hear them say?
I just heard them say about, acknowledgement, taking responsibility, listening. That's what I'm saying. It's basically the same thing Chloe and Dahlia was saying. That's what I was like. I agree with everything.
You can put a little spin on it.
Yeah, I agree with everything they said.
Okay. All right. Doctor, what did you hear the men say from your perspective?
I heard Dr. David state, he mentioned admittance. Corey focused on ownership. Own your stuff, not his stuff, your stuff, at the very least. I heard Sean say keyword acknowledgement, as in, do you understand? Meaning, do you understand the offense that's being presented in the moment? So, because, and that to me is that's a great starter point, because if you don't even understand where the offense is, or that it even you even see it, then you're not going to be able to get to ownership or admit it. So that's an important starter piece. It's just like, do they understand the nature of the crime? If they don't, then you're dealing with another issue in itself. So I'm learning this more raising my son, because he's the first male that I've ever been around this long. I've never been around a male in my life this consistently this long. So, and I see how wired his brain is wired differently. I have to communicate differently, because sometimes I be having my old school black mama moments, and I be like, boy, and then I can't do how I was raised, because I don't want to kill him. You know what I'm saying? Because back in the day, it was like, you ain't no explanation. It didn't matter. So I had to, I've had to ask him. And there was one time I was having a real black mama, old school black mama moment. I ain't gonna say new school, but old school. And he sat me down and he said, it hurts my feelings when you yell at me like that. And I was like, well, I understand, but what I'm saying is, and yada yada da, and he was like, and then I had to stop, because my baby's eyes were glassing up. And I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that to him, because his feelings are important to me. And I need to redo this. It wasn't done for me. I need to redo this. And we had a great conversation, and it really helped, because now I'm seeing his personality. He's at a stage where he's a new person. His personality's growing.
Sorry.
So yeah, that's
a good story. I actually did enjoy it.
You're good. You're good. It's all good.
But I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you. Okay. Again, once more, boys. My word, I was talking for time and didn't realize. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, gentlemen. I was saying, Corey, was that active depiction? I know the very beginning part, because I know she did explain at the very beginning. Was it accurate depiction? Your honest thoughts?
Okay. To be honest with you, I did not hear her. I got a text message that needed my attention. I apologize. That's on me on this one. I don't want to say, yeah, she was spot on when
That's
I wasn't.
accountability.
Yeah, that's my fault. That's my fault.
We appreciate it. Thank you for taking accountability, sir. We appreciate you. You could have lied, but you didn't. We appreciate you. David, did you hear? And would that be an accurate assessment?
Yeah, I heard her, and I think she got what we were trying to say, and yeah, dude.
Love that. Appreciate that. I think Sean might be away really quick. I'm not sure. I think he did say he was going to be away. But Sean, I don't know if you're there. If you aren't, don't worry. I'll come back to you a little bit later. Would that be accurate depiction? Oh, he'll be right back. Okay, cool. I think it was an accurate depiction, and I do appreciate, the ladies kind of hearing us on that aspect as well. Okay, so I've got a question, and ladies, I want to get your viewpoint. I want to ask the question this. We often hear that women are forced into accountability. Would this be an accurate depiction? And if it is an accurate depiction, we want to know why you feel that you are forced into accountability. So this goes beyond the scope of just relationships. This could be talking about society as a whole. You have 2 minutes. I want to hear your thoughts when we're talking about this particular aspect. So are women forced into accountability? We often hear this sometimes when I chat. Women always have to take accountability and da-da-da-da-da. Do you know what I mean? So I want to know, is that an accurate statement to make? If so, why? If not, Fantastic. Explain why too. V, you are new, so I would love to hear your thoughts on this, and get you involved in the conversation. V, take it away.
Yeah, I believe that we're more forced into accountability because I hear it all the time that although the men are the leader of our culture, the women are the morality. And a lot of times we're left with whatever the consequences of whatever actions we're taking. And especially when it comes to rearing children, different aspects of of society, we're left holding the bag. Not saying that men are not present, but especially in a space of being a mother, a lot of times, say for instance, if the children aren't doing a certain thing or they're not going in the way that people feel like they should go, it's like where is the mother? What is going on? What is happening? We're usually left with taking care of that responsibility. So I think just based on how society is set up, we'll end up holding more accountability. So
Appreciate it, V. Thank you very much. Thank you. Broken Bouget, talk to me. A woman forced into accountability. Do you feel? Is that something that you feel as well? Let me unmute you. Sorry, go for it.
Yes, I agree with V. We're definitely forced into accountability, and I think one of the reasons is because other women also side with men in forcing us into accountability. Quick example: Megan Thee Stallion getting shot in the foot. There's a whole bunch of women think she's a liar. Women that are, let's say, single moms, not by choice. It's always single mom. I'm going to use another YouTuber's definition, Erica De Niro. How about father deficient homes? Like what happened to the dad? I mean, yes, some women are responsible, but sometimes you are with somebody and everything's great and the person just, you know, ups and leaves, or they have to leave because this person is not the man they thought. But it's always blaming her. It's never looking at the man as in, okay, you still have a child to take care of, even though you're not with the mom. And usually the biggest critics of women and the harshest critics are other women. So that's why I say that usually, yeah, women are usually forced to take accountability because they got everybody against them.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Brooks and Bougie. Appreciate that. Okay. All right. Dahlia, forced accountability. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What's your thoughts on this?
I'm torn on this one because if you had asked me this question first, I would have said no. But after hearing V and Broke Bougie speak, they got my mind jogging. And on a societal level, I would say that, yeah, in general, I do think that women are forced to take accountability. But I think it's more so that we're the ones left holding the bag when oftentimes it's not just us involved in this. So then you do get that thing where we're on the defense and we feel like we're having to explain ourselves. And it's just like, well, wait, it wasn't just me, it was also him too. And then this happened, and then this happened. And it's like, you feel like we have to do that because here should be the guy who was involved in all of this and he ain't there, right? So now I got to go step in and explain myself and what happened. But then on the other end, I'm thinking to myself, absent situations like SA, DV, or like what happened with Megan Thee Stallion, oftentimes we are complicit in this. There are things that we did to get to this point, and there is some accountability that we should be taking. It's just I feel like it burns for us because it is forced, and it's not like we just came to this on our own. We're the ones left holding the bag, and that freaking sucks. So yeah, I'm torn on this one.
I appreciate this on the sentiments as well. Thank you very much. Dr. 100, talk to me, baby.
This was all the ladies. You really hit the nail many different ways. If accountability was like a bag of quarters or nickels and you had to pay out for everything that someone else did who was connected to you, we're often in the deficit on that because If my children do something wrong, I got to take accountability for that. If my baby daddies do something wrong or wasn't there, I got to pay a debt for that. I got to, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of emotional debt. And then when it's time for me to pay my emotional debt because I haven't dealt with me because I was paying for everybody else, well, I'm in the hole now. So my accountability I may have to re-up, do something. I got to get some help. I got to get credit on that so that I can pay for my emotional debt because I never got a chance to get to it in the first place. So I'm in the hole. That's kind of, I hope that makes sense. Okay.
No, that makes sense. Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Chloe, what's your thoughts on this? Are women forced to take accountability?
I guess so. Based on what everyone said, I can see it. Especially like, how a lot of it becomes our blame. So it's like we're forced into taking accountability. But in some incidents, sometimes it's the accountability we should be taking. Not all the time, but sometimes that is the accountability that we should be taking. And that's why we get defensive, because it's like, once again, right, they say, let's just use this for example. You have 3 kids by 3 different men, right? But those men can have 5 kids by 5 different women. It's like, well, you chose the wrong man. And it's like we don't want to take on the accountability for actually making that, because it's like, well, he's not here either. So why is it all on me when we both played the part in it? So I would say we are forced to take the accountability, but not 100%. I'll say about 90% we're forced and 10% is on the other party, which is why we get so defensive, because it's not always us. And like Dahlia said, that's why we go into explaining. Well, this happened. This was the reaction to, what occurred. So again, I'm going to take accountability, but I'm not taking all of it. So it's the split accountability that we get. Instead of it being a split, it's like they want us to take it all. So when you say force, I think that force is all the accountability versus some of the accountability or my accountability.
Fair points. I'm listening to this. Okay, I love that. V, have I asked you on this question? Have I asked you already? Okay, thank you. David, forced accountability. Do you feel like women are forced into accountability from your perspective? 2 minutes.
It's a bit of a tricky question, but based on what the ladies are saying, honestly, I can say that they are somewhat forced into accountability, because I think majority of the things that often happen in life, they often bear the visible consequences of it. Oftentimes, the men don't really bear the visible consequences, and that then makes it become difficult for them to push away the responsibilities or the consequences. Men are often able to do that. So I think women definitely do take a large bond of the accountability for certain things that involve both men and women.
Appreciate it, Dave. Thank you very much. Corey, do you agree? Forced accountability for women. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know your thoughts.
Okay, you want me to answer this question?
Yeah, it's a discussion. So
all right.
Do you agree or disagree? That's the main thing.
All right. So I agree on one point. I think that's the point that all the ladies spoke on. That's having to do with family and children. But there are so many other matters that take place throughout life besides kids, baby dads, boyfriends, fathers of your kids. So there's more to it than that. So in that particular realm, yes, I will agree that's the one significant area where women are forced into accountability. But if it's a one-on-one interaction, whether it's friends, whether it's family, you have to take not when I say family, I don't mean like your husband, ex-husband, boyfriend. I mean like family, like mother, brothers, aunts. You have to take accountability in those areas. So we can't use, I want to be careful with this, but I don't want us to use one instance of our lives I'm sorry, your lives, ladies, with all due respect, one instance of your lives and hold that against all the other people that you have in your world. So it's not their fault when it comes to the decisions that were made within that scope of that family. Now, the man who decided to leave, he needs to share that accountability as well. So there is opportunity to share, but at the same time, everyone needs to take their part in it as well. So I'm not saying it's all women. I'm not saying it's all men. I'm saying those who have a part to take in it should own up to their part. But let's not make it about the family, kids, and the interaction between mother and dad, and use that for everything else. That's all.
Okay, appreciate it. Sean, what's your thoughts to forced accountability for the ladies and the ladies? Do you feel like ladies are forced into accountability?
No. I think that they have to deal with the consequences, right? So, unfortunately, if if there's a situation and a man leaves them and they're left to manage the household and the kids by themselves, they're dealing with the consequences. If they were taking accountability, then they would be taking stock in their role, and I think they would be looking at what they did and acknowledge what they did. And in many instances, and I'm not saying they're all their fault or everything's all one way, but in a lot of instances, we just discuss the absentee fathers and why they're not there and their role and what they did wrong. So for me, that's not accountability. I do understand that women are left to hold the bag in a lot of instances, so I'm not taking that away from them, but I don't think that's accountability. I just think they're left with the consequences because women are the bearer of children. That is the unfortunate consequence of them being, when they're left, usually the kids are left with them 9 times out of 10, right? So I don't think that's accountability, though.
Okay. I want to ask the ladies if there's a pushback on that in regards to the statement of what he just said about the consequences versus accountability. And then I guess we can make it very specific in terms of, let's say, for instance, like kids or something like that, where there's an aspect. Would you agree that that's a difference there, that there's consequence versus responsibility rather in that particular case? Or would you still say that's accountability? Dalia, yeah, you can go for it.
Yeah, I have a pushback. I think that when it comes to the realm of sex, that we do end up taking more of the responsibility. And I'm talking on a societal level. When you look at sex work, those people are so vulnerable. They're some of the least protected people. And every time that we talk about something like a serial killer, they're always the first ones that the serial killer goes to. They end up being prey, and it's in part because nobody cares about them. And most of the people who are doing the sex work are women, and they're women who don't have a family or who have a family who does not want them for whatever reason. And so a lot of times, they look down on the woman for doing this job, but it's like, well, who is she with? And it's usually a man who's with her. But she's the one who's getting blamed for it. And it's not to say that she doesn't have her share in what happened. It's just that, again, she's the only one that we're talking about. We don't talk about the responsibility of the man in that particular situation. And unfortunately, it's usually the man in these particular situations. Or something like, what's another one? Like sugar babies. They bring it up a lot in men's rooms. They talk about sugar babies. It's like, right, but the older guy that she's with is contributing to this. It's a twofold situation. It's like, why are we focusing only on the girl, but we're not focusing on this man over here? I think in that realm, in the sexual realm, it's grossly unfairly weighted towards the woman and not equally weighted towards the man.
Okay, appreciate it. Any other ladies have a pushback on the statement consequence versus accountability? Yes, V?
Yeah.
So I think we're kind of dancing around the circle where we're always being told to choose better. And it's not always stated that people need to be better. I'm not saying Sean said that, but I'm just saying that's like an argument that circles in the red pill community. It's like, you guys need to choose better. Then it's like, well, can you guys be better? No, you just need to choose better. And it's like a circular argument, and it never gets us anywhere. And I think it's kind of in that realm. So
Okay. I want to acknowledge that. So we're gonna go down that rabbit hole. But we're gonna keep it respectful. Yeah, we are. We're gonna go down a rabbit hole. So the question of choose better. Why is that a trigger? No, let me not say trigger, because that's assuming already it's a trigger. I apologize. Let me come back. Why is choose better potentially, quote unquote, an issue when it comes to being related to accountability? What is it for the ladies' perspective? I want to get your perspective first. When you hear the words from the men, choose better, why does that create, an issue, if we want to say, per se? If there is one, maybe there isn't one for you. So do you know what I mean? But why would you say there is an issue if we say choose better? I want to know from the ladies your perspectives as well. Chloe, you opened your mic earlier, so I'll let you go.
I think it's triggering because a lot of men sell dreams. So when a lot of women get with men, they sell us this, oh, I'm this type of guy, I'm gonna do this. They give you this fairy tale. They tell you everything they want to hear. They court you. They make you feel special. Everything's so great. And then let's say you end up pregnant, and then now he's gone. So like I thought I was choosing better. Like I thought he was going to be the my knight in shining armor, as to say, right? But it didn't pan out that way. And we encounter a lot of men that will tell you anything just to get what they want. And they will court you for a certain amount of time. They have no time limit. They have nothing but time. And they will, put in all the work that they need to put in, and they'll make you feel good and special. You the only one, make you feel. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like the man gets this woman and he treats her really good, buys her everything, put her up in the house, right? And then as soon as they get married, starts abusing her, right? Then it's like, choose better. How? I thought I was choosing better. So that's why it's triggering, is because like you put up a mask. I'm not saying most men, but a lot of men will put up a mask to conquer you. And then once they conquer you, they throw you away. And you're like, what the heck? So now I got to start all over again. And that's usually why it triggers us, because we don't know what choose better means. Does that mean then when we're guarded, it's like you need to let your guards down, put your guards down? And it's like, for what? Like last time I put my guard down for somebody, he said put your guard down. I did that, and now look at me with a baby, and he gone, right? So I think that's like how it's like a circle effect. That's why it's like it kind of just like, makes us feel some type of way, because like she said, like V said, why does it have to be choose better when you can be better? Why not men just be better so we don't have to go through the whole choosing better? How about we just choose who's right for us?
Thank you very much, Chloe. Appreciate that. V, your perspective, I'm going to go to the ladies as well. Choose better. Why is that an issue? If it is an issue, choose better. Just your 2 minutes, go for it.
I totally agree with Chloe. I think it's more of like I kind of said in the chat, that's why the 90-day rule doesn't work. I mean, if you're saving it for marriage, that's fine. Whatever you're doing, that's fine. But the 90-day rule doesn't work because a lot of people can have a representative, man or woman, for however many days until they get what they want from you, right? So like I said, instead of asking people to have better character, be more upfront in what they're looking for, what they're trying to do, we're asked to vet, right? They're constantly saying vet. And you can vet all day, get a year in, and that person was a totally different person. There's things that all of us have that nobody will ever find out about, right? But some people will bring it out at a certain time and you're like, oh, what did I just do? And you're already caught up in it. So I feel like we should have the same standards I hear men having all the time, because like they say in chat, when a man sees a red flag, they are out. They're gone. They don't want to hear anything about anything else. Women will try to figure out, is the flag red? Is it magenta? Is it light pink? Can I get past it? Will he change? All types of stuff that they will try to nurture. It's like the nature of nurturing, right? So that's why I feel like we still end up getting caught up. And I feel like it's putting all, guys are talking about accountability, putting all the accountability on us to choose somebody, and we may be choosing them based on what they presented to us. So do we not believe anybody when they're saying something, or are we to give them the benefit of the doubt? I don't know.
Thank you, V. Appreciate it. Thank you, V. Dahlia, choose better. Problems? Why?
Coach, you're such a troll sometimes, I swear. Okay, so for me personally, that's not an offensive phrase for me. It doesn't trigger me. It's never triggered me. I believe in vetting. I've already told my family and friends that when I marry, the dating process will be by committee. There's levels to this. Like, you're not putting a ring on my finger until, there's some security checks that need that need to be done first. So I'm a big fan and a proponent of that. But I also understand that at some point it really does come down to a measure of faith. And so I get why people are triggered by that, because there's only so much vetting that a person can do. And, there's another content creator who talks about this a lot. And when he says that, the FBI, the CIA, they can't even vet people all the way. So what makes you think that we can? And I think that he's right about that. I do think that it's an asinine statement to make to somebody after the damage is already done. Choose better. It's like, okay, well, if I could go back in time, I would, but it's done now. I don't need to hear how I should have chosen better 2 years ago, right? I need to hear solutions now. Don't talk about then. Let's talk about now. You know what I mean? So it's like, how can we? It's okay for us to assess a situation about what happened, so we can make sure that those same mistakes aren't made. But to sit up here and make it seem as if I'm never going to make a mistake again when it comes to the realm of human behavior, which is so, there's no psychologist on the planet who's been able to figure out the human mind. We're just now figuring out that we have gut biomes. Nobody knows the human body or the human mind so well that you can really figure out how to relationship appropriately. I think that's an asinine statement to make to somebody. And so I think that a little bit more grace and empathy would be nice coming from the men and women too, so we can move forward. That's what I think.
Appreciate it, Dahlia. Thank you. Brokaboosh, talk to me. Choose better. What do you think of that?
I'm a proponent of choose better. I'm just going to be honest to my sisters in the panel. That is, I live by choose better, but let me tell you about the choose better for men and women. Usually choose better comes out of my mouth when I notice there is a pattern, when you are constantly doing the same thing, and getting the same result. And a lot of people who don't want to hear choose better, because they're telling you their story, and this is like, we went back to the beginning. They're not taking any accountability. They're not saying, I saw A, but I didn't want to believe B, so I went on to C. That's my fault. Now, one thing I will say that I don't like, these red pill, pink pill people, it's more of a, instead of choosing better, then they want to say all men ain't ish, all women ain't ish, all black women ain't ish, all black. No, it's you. Okay. You had a bad situation. You haven't learned from it. If I hear one more sister talk about divest, newsflash, there's a lot of white men ain't ish too. Because I got white girlfriends. So I think with the choose better situation, it's usually said when a person, you can obviously see they're looking for a pretty party. They're not doing any self introspection. They're not trying to take accountability. But I love choose better. It doesn't trigger me at all.
Thank you, Brooke Bougie. Dr. 100. Choose better. Problem, no problem. Tell me your thoughts.
Well, it's a two-way situation. They're connected. I don't think you're going to be able to fully separate the two, because if you're growing as a person and you're constantly working on your alignment with the higher consciousness, you're always going to want to choose better for yourself in any way, whether we're talking health, food, relationships, whatever the case may be. However, there were times when it really was triggering to me, because I didn't have a me for me. I didn't have a person to teach me certain levels to certain things, because it didn't mean that I didn't have anyone to teach me anything, but it was like there were certain parts I was outgrowing my mentors. I was outgrowing my parents and my grandparents in certain ways. And I'm like, God, you didn't push me up to this line and I don't know where to go. Everybody talking about, well, you cheating, you need to choose better. And I'm like, well, tell me how to do it. Like, it's just like, I'm just telling, because I'm fighting for my life and I'm standing on the edge of the cliff and God is trying to kick me off the cliff, but I don't know that He's going to catch me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I'm falling off the cliff, and I'm grasping for air. And it's terrifying when you are really, you looking for anything, but you looking for the kale, you looking for the spinach, but all you got is ramen noodles. You looking, and it's hard. You know what I'm saying? And the empathy, the grace, we need that. Our people have been the most abused. We need the empathy. We just need it.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Doctor, I appreciate that. Okay, now I'm going to ask the men. When you hear the words choose better, because it's often said by men. Look at Corey's face. Brother, did you orgasm or something, bro? Your eyes rolled back again. What's wrong with you? Yeah. He said, shit. Sorry. Anyway, listen, Dave, Corey, talk to me. All this side, real spit. Choose better. Like, when you hear that notion, what do you glean from that notion? Choose better. What do you glean from that?
I think it's some truth to it. Bottom line, I think there's some truth to choosing better. I think that we have to get away from making excuses of why things don't work out. Now, with that being said, do things sometimes not work out in the men's favor? True. Do sometimes things not work out in the women's favor? Very true. But it was a mention of kale and spinach, right? But a lot of people go to the cereal aisle looking for kale when they should be in the vegetable aisle. So what I mean by that is this. I mean that is by when you're talking to a man, when you're entertaining someone who's interested in you, what questions are you asking them? How are you digging deeper into who this man really is? When I'm talking to someone, I ask questions about their past. I ask questions about who they are, who they think they are. I ask them questions about their most previous relationship. I ask questions like, what's the best relationship you ever had? Describe that to me, because you want to know what's in their mind. So you have to ask more in-depth questions and don't keep things on the surface. If you're intentional, if you're thinking about marriage, you're thinking about having a fiance, all that good stuff, then you have to ask questions that's going to prepare you for your future and see what kind of man you're really getting. And the same thing on the flip side, you have to see what kind of woman you're getting. We have to advance our questioning. Any man who says he's an intentional man, a man who is marriage minded, ask him about his plan. What kind of husband do you think he'll be? In detail. If he backs away, then you need to leave this man alone. So we have to stop ignoring red flags too. So sometimes we see red flags, but because it's in a nice form, we'll entertain it a little bit longer. Yeah. We can start going off the characteristics. I've asked women, what do you look for in a man? And they start naming off, I want him to be 6'5", I want him to have dreads, I want him to have a six-pack. They say all the physical attributes. I'm sorry, I didn't see that. I didn't see it. My bad. That's right, man. Yeah, that's all.
It's okay, brother. Appreciate you. You were strong. I heard you. Appreciate you, bro. Sean, when you hear the words choose better, what do you mean by that? Or what do you hear?
I just mean, I think similar to what Broke with Bougie was saying, it's like, if you have a string of failed relationships, at some point you got to look at who's the common denominator. If you want different outcomes, you can only control yourself. And that's the one thing that I rest on, right? I can't control all the women in the universe, right? But I can control Sean. And if there's something that I'm doing, and usually it's me managing my life. So if something went wrong, I'm gonna look inward versus looking outward. So when I say that, I think, or when I hear it, I think, you need to make better choices. It's just like with anything in life. If you're not getting the outcomes you desire and you are in a position to control that, then you need to take ownership and make a better choice.
Thank you very much, Sean. Appreciate that. David, go for it. 2 minutes. When you hear the words "choose better," what do you mean, or what do you hear? What do you feel about that word?
So I just basically hear that people need to do better, but then personally, I don't like individual spaces. I don't like spaces that are men focused, women focused, just because I think over time it becomes a thing of our space is better than that space, or these people are better than these people. And you have a host of women who are in that business and a host of men who are in that business of tearing the other one down. So I like spaces like this channel whereby it's more balanced and people are trying to go on both sides. I think the reason why it gets annoying when someone says that is often they don't really know your full story, and you're like, you don't know me from Adam. You just heard 2 minutes of my life, and now you're making a full conclusion to say do better or choose better or whatever. How do you know? And just to end, I think there was a time a lady came on Kevin's show, and that lady was talking about her life and all this thing, and it was already going to analysis. And then she's like, my husband actually died. And she's like, okay, sorry, let's keep that. Like, bro, we can't just keep that. You fluffed it. You made a mistake. Own up to it. So when we say work harder, some people are already working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. We can't say the same thing across board. Let's know people before we start making advice on their personal lives.
Loving that. Okay, beautiful stuff. Okay, cool. So I'm loving this where we're at this point. So I think I heard something. So I want to kind of see if we can draw this out a little bit better, right? So just choose better issue, and if the ladies can hear me, they can then kind of agree, and then I can kind of open up the conversation a bit more. So what I heard from what I heard, David said it, ladies have also said it. Hold on, let me just mute. And so the choose better. Are we saying, ladies, that it sounds dismissive and not taking into account what's happened to get you to a certain point? Is that what we're saying? One of the ladies can contribute and then kind of just clear it up a little bit so we can just make it very clear in this aspect. Got to go for it?
Yeah, it can feel dismissive if it's just said flat.
Okay.
But if there is someone who really cares about you and really wants to help you, that choose better is going to come into play, because you want to get to that space where you can do that, because that is the goal. But you can't just to say it flat. It is dismissive. It is it's cold. And I know that that's the end point, but you can't, that's not how healing works. It just isn't how healing works. And we don't need the same Band-Aid put on each and every time. I might need emergency surgery care. I might need gauze. I might need antibiotics. I might need a whole lot of stuff to get me to the point where I am able to even choose anything. Maybe I need not to choose nothing and just choose myself for a while, and personally, that's what I've been doing for a couple years now. I just been just little old me. And it's been this pandemic, honey, it done saved my life, child. Saved my whole life. For real.
Okay. And I need one more lady. Choose better. Just want to just clarify it one more time so we can get the crisp part of it. Choose better. What was the point of it?
Yes, it can be dismissive. It can be dismissive, like Dr. David was saying. Sometimes they don't know the whole story. They just know they know your life, and they're gonna come in and fix it for you. And they tell you to choose better, and they don't know what you did to get to that point. But sometimes people aren't interested in your whole life story. If they're straight to the point and meat and potatoes, like Corey was saying, they hear what you say. They want to hear the high points, and they're gonna tell you to choose better. And sometimes you need to. Sometimes you did mess up, and you need to own up to it.
Cool. And so let me make it specific then for the ladies and throw it at them, and then we're gonna throw it to the men as well. So let's say, for instance, give an example, relationship issue, like you ladies were saying. You were saying that the men needed to be better. So I don't know if I'm hearing correctly. I want you to correct me again. Am I hearing correctly? What you're saying is both parties need to be held accountable, because it's kind of similar to what we kind of spoke about behind the scenes the other day as well. So I want to bring it out to the foreground. Are you saying, when you say choose better, you're also expecting to hear the men should be better? Is that what we're hearing? Would that be correct to say? I don't know if someone wants to correct me, and then so we can get a better understanding on this again.
Yes. And I say that because
Perfect,
it's
yeah.
like, so let's just be general, right? So let's just say a woman gets cheated on by every man she's been in a relationship with, right? And then they say, well, it must be something wrong with you if all your men cheating. And then why can't the man just not be cheating? You know what I mean? Like, and then if a man cheat, they go, oh, well, that's how we created. That's just in us. Like, not all men. I'm just saying the excuses we get for it, right? Or my grandmother, and it's sad because my grandmother told me this: a man's going to cheat. My grandmother told me that. So, in this, she had years. She's like 70 something. So if you think about the words, it's like, so you telling me choose better, right? And so, but then you also saying men gonna cheat on you. That's what they do. It's like, so what am I supposed to do out here? And I mean, thank God I didn't have to deal with that with my husband, but I've been cheated on, right? More than once by different guys. And it wasn't that I wasn't choosing better. It's just that was just the character of a lot of the men that I was dealing with. And it didn't mean that, like, it's just like now I'm the problem because he can't keep it in his pants. So that's when it comes, like, when that forced accountability, because that was like being forced to take about accountability because something has to be wrong with you if every man you dated cheated on you.
Ladies, you want to just quickly add on to that sentiment I was saying about if men are you asking for men to be better and choose better to be said at the same time? Yes, Dahlia?
Yeah, I would like to add on to that. So I think it's less that we're expecting the men to be better and more that when you say choose better, I think the women are reading this as you expect me to be better. I think it's an unrealistic expectation for anybody, man or woman, to think that you can properly vet out all negative tendencies in somebody. When Chloe was talking about how she was cheated on, I'm thinking to myself, how do you account for that in the dating process before you get to the stage where you are exclusive, monogamous, committed to somebody? How do you properly vet to see if this person is going to cheat on you in the future, especially if maybe that person doesn't have much of a dating history, much of a dating past? How do you know that this person is going to cheat on you sometime in the future? How do you properly filter that out, or at least like program that into your dating program? How do you code for that? I don't think you can. I think, and this is what I'm talking about when I say that I think there needs to be empathy and grace, because there's only so much that you can really do given the human mind, given human behavior, just given the fact that humans are faulty people. We're born with sin nature. There's only so much that you can really do to account for that. And sometimes people are just chaotic. They just do stuff that don't make no freaking sense. It's just, I just wanted to do it. You know what I mean? There's only so much that you can account for that. And I think that's something that we need to really take into account when we're navigating the dating process. A lot of stuff we are going to have to take by faith.
Cool. Appreciate that, Dahlia. Any other ladies want to contribute to that part? Choose better. Yes, go for it. Broken bougie.
Okay, with the choose better part, and Chloe, I listened to what you said, and the thing that stood out when you said your grandmother told you all men cheat.
Yeah.
So to me, and I'm not saying you per se, did that put something in the back of your head that okay, all men cheat? Maybe one day this might happen to me. Me with the choose better part, I don't worry about the men. Of course, I want them to do better, but in the way I was raised, let other men counsel those men to do better. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to choose myself first. That's the first thing. I always choose me. um Vet these people. Of course you're going to always have someone that maybe just totally did a 360 on you, but I'll be honest with you, it's a very small percentage. Even the person that ex that cheated on me, he admitted it later. When I had to look back, I was like, oh, when he told me about his family background and all, the daddy cheated on the mom and the grandfather cheated on the grandmother and his first wife cheated on him. See, I was so busy trying to be, I'm going to be the one that's going to show you, it could be better. When I should have been going, okay, we got some generational stuff here, and I'm not seeing where he's saying that he's healed from that. So I took some accountability on that part. But the thing is, with the choose better, I could care less about the men. I'm more focused about the woman, or if it's the man, either way, that you do better so you don't have to go through this again. You're gonna always have somebody that might, flip the script. But usually when something like that happens, if you really think hard, do some self-analysis, you can kind of go back and go, yeah, there was a little red flag. It might have not been a big red flag, but it was a new one. And my personal opinion, when people say, well, what
Time.
about the men? To me, that's still, we're not talking about them. We're talking about you. And you do better. Let other men
Time.
counsel
Broken
those men.
bougie. Sorry. Thank you. Time. Thank you. Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I definitely agree with what you're saying. I do hear what you're saying as well. Um, Doctor, did you want to add anything before we shift it over?
Yes, I agree with the pieces that every lady stated. It's just, you know what? I'm not even going to drag out. I just agree.
No, go for it. Go for it.
No,
No
no,
worries.
I'm okay. Yeah, because I'm at peace with what everybody said. It works for me.
Thank you, Doctor. Yeah, no, I mean, it's really good. I think we're getting somewhere as well. I think, interesting enough, what Broken Bougie kind of spoke about is something that happened to me. When the girl that cheated on me, when I looked back, I remember the very first day she told me about why she cheated herself in a relationship, and I said she never took any accountability. And I said to myself, don't go forward because she'll do the same to you. Because people who don't hold themselves accountable for why they do what they do and they blame other people as to why they do something haven't learned from that experience, according to my experience. So I was like, nah, but you know what? Nah, she's not a bad girl. Like, da-da-da. She's really not a bad girl. But, that intuition, that gut feeling that comes up, you get that little voice in your head that tells you, you heard that, right? Look deeper. You heard that, right? But I heard it. But at that point in time, Nayash was speaking to me many different languages, and I found myself in the realms. And so at that point, I ignored that red flag, and it was a very, very same the very same thing that later on I was like, so how do we get here? Oh, that's why. Yeah, you ignored
Coach,
what
can
you
I ask
heard
you a
at the beginning.
question?
You can go for it.
So, do you believe the saying that once a cheater, always a cheater?
No, I believe people who
So
have
then that's what I
cheated.
mean. So just how
Yeah.
you said, like when you look past it, right? Because what if
Yes.
that person did change, right? But if you
Yeah.
already X'd them out, not saying like, okay, don't ignore it, but that's sometimes what women go through. We go through that. I can't, just because that happened before doesn't mean that they're not changed. So when people say choose better, it's like, What do you mean by choose better? Because sometimes you don't know that a person will cheat on you until they cheat on you in some instances, right? So that's what I mean. If you don't believe that once a cheater, always a cheater, then how is that person supposed to ever be with someone if they was the cheater? And vice versa.
So in that particular case, the reason why I said that, I knew she was gonna cheat. I knew she was gonna cheat, and I knew because when I asked her, she was unaccountable. And when I asked her about past relationships, she's like, I don't really like talking about it. Always scooting past it. And in my experience, when people don't want to talk about the past, when people don't know how to take accountability for actions, they're bound to do it again, because what they're refusing to take accountability for is saying it just happened, or I just found myself here, or my emotions led me there. Rather, if someone's cheated, right? If you ask me, I cheat. I'll say, yeah, I've cheated in the past. What have I learned? And I'll tell you, listen, look, I ain't trying to be there again. I'll be honest with you. The things that I've seen, things I've learned from it, yep. This is not me. And you normally get a thorough explanation from somebody when someone has actually learned about the consequences of that action. When people are playing and they haven't learned from it, they rarely add an explanation or a learn from that particular action, right? We're not asking you to be deep and in the ocean. We're asking you just for like a learn. And I think this happened on a show, and I can't remember what it was. And someone said it, I can't remember what the show was, and he said it, and I said, yeah, he gonna cheat. He gonna cheat, because when she asked him about what happened with the cheating, he said, "Oh well, she was acting crazy, and I went out and I needed my needs met." If you ask me and I tell you I needed my needs met, you better believe I'm gonna cheat on you again, because what I'm really saying is I'm unaccountable for what part I'm playing in it. I'm forcing the issue to be on the other person and not on me. And this is what men actually do with women when they hear, oh, my ex is toxic, Men go, yeah, tick, she's crazy too. Leave her alone, boys. Run the other way, because men have learned that when people are not accountable, because men tend to try and say, that's how we kind of think about things. If that person's not accountable, run the other way, because they probably are part of the problem as well. So that's how I would say about cheating in that sense. If someone doesn't take accountability for what action they played in their cheating, and they try to put it on another person, they're more than likely going to cheat on you again. Yeah, because they ain't sorted themselves out.
Hey, Kojo?
Yes.
Question. Do you think, and I saw this in the chat, do you think maybe people would receive the word discernment better than choose better? Like use more discernment?
That's better. I think that's
Someone
better.
just mentioned that. I just saw that in the chat. Maybe they'd be more receptive if you said use more discernment.
I think that would work for the first few times, and after we use it consistently, it's going to be one of those words. Yeah, discern what?
but how you put it, but see, when you explain it, right, then it's not just saying choose better, it's giving an example of what choosing better looks like. So when people just say you need to choose better, it's like, what does that mean? But when you say, okay, if a person told you this and this was, their response to it, then that's something you should be worried about, because then that also goes in line to say, oh, well, once a cheater is not always a cheater, but how do I recognize once a cheater, not always a cheater, versus once a cheater going to keep on cheating, So I think that's when it goes into the explanation of, don't just tell me choose right. I don't know what that means. And I think that's why it's triggering, because everyone's saying you need to choose better, choose vet, choose better vet. And it's like, okay, so what exactly does that mean in detail, so that I can make a better decision on that person?
But you know what, Chloe? Sometimes people, you would be open to it, obviously. But you have some people, when you try to back it up why you said to choose better, they don't want to hear it at all.
Wait, before you go, Joy, I'm going to get the men back in. Yes, Sean.
Yeah, no, I wanted to say back to the choosing better, and I think this is where the accountability part comes in. And like, I'm starting to hear from Chloe, it doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean you're horrible. It doesn't mean that because the man cheated, it's your fault. It's about, let's look towards the road signs that are general indicators of somebody's character, right? Where did you meet him? Did your relationship start off where he was cheating to be with you, right? Because those situations are out there. Men ain't cheating by themselves now. Listen, and I'm not saying it's a woman's fault, but I'm saying the man is not cheating by himself. He's cheating with somebody. So and not you, Chloe, but is that woman in a knowingly situationship that has stretched on for far too long, and now she's finally getting what she wants, so she thinks it's all going to be perfect, right? Where did she meet that man? Did you meet him in a fly-by-night, one-off kind of situation, or did you meet him in a place of substance, right? Did you meet that man's family? What do his friends look like, right? Is he just a cool cat chilling on the corner, right? Is that what you were looking at? Or is he somebody that's really about something? Like, what are your standards? What are your qualifiers? What do you look for in a man? Like Corey said, what is important to you, right? And I think that's what the choose better means. It's like, look at your picker, because sometimes the picker is off. And the same can be said for us, right? If we just chasing the baddie, right, we gonna get what the baddie give us, right? So we can't just be looking down that path either. So it's look at what's driving your attraction, look at what's important to you, and sometimes that needs to be altered, right? So I think that's where we can own and actually say, and not be in a victim place of, I couldn't do anything different. No, you actually can. And it doesn't mean that you're responsible for that man's actions, but it means you can be responsible for you and the situations you allow yourself to be in.
Appreciate that, Sean. Corey? David's going to go. David go, and then Corey go after. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I think human beings generally, we're self-serving and self-protecting. So we often don't want to be seen in the negative light, or want to sort of hold our hands up and say, oh, I messed up. And it's our nature. So I think the whole point of choose better is not something that we necessarily to throw away, like Sean just explained. Sometimes you actually do need to choose better. But then the caveat is, don't just throw it out when you ask somebody just one question about their life. Then you just say choose better. Because that might be a one-off situation. That might be a situation that has more details to it than you actually know of. But if you've asked them about their relationship and they've told you, number one, did this, I met him here. Number two, did this, I met him here. Number three, I did this on the first date. Then you then saying, oh, maybe you need to choose better, becomes a valid point of conversation, as opposed to just throwing that out at every whims. And oftentimes that's what happens in all these spaces, whereby a woman says, oh, I did this, I did that. And then when they say choose better, then the next thing is, who did you get to vet him? Did your father vet him for you? Okay, my father was not in the picture. What's your to come back to that? Is it my fault then? Or you see what I'm saying? So oftentimes people are always quick to just judge and just throw out that statement, oh, choose better, because they want to put it in your face that it's your fault. But then they don't want to hold the other person accountable. So that's the sort of balance of it.
Thank you,
Okay,
David.
so the reason why I say choose better is because we're at a point in our lives. Well, maybe some of us are, maybe some of us aren't, but we've dated multiple people, and because we've dated multiple people, those are all lessons learned, right? So if you have a boyfriend and he's constantly saying he's working late and his way 1-2 o'clock in the morning when his job ends at 9 o'clock, it's a good chance he's cheating, right? Because you've gone through a situation that's similar to that. But what the point that I'm making is that you learn from certain situations that you've been in your relationships. You're not just supposed to go through a relationship, be hurt, and then do the same thing in the next relationship. So my point is that we need to start learning more from each encounter that we have with men and women to be better at choosing men and women when it comes out of line. So when you get to a certain point, you have a lot of lessons learned, and when you come to choosing, your BS meter is up, and it's to a point where it's like that stuff won't even come near you anymore. Once you see it, it's gone, it's out. Don't come in with that. So when you get to that point of not caring how anyone else feels, and you are choosing yourself at that point, because if it's a chance that you're wrong, you can be wrong and be fine being wrong, but you want to be as close to right as you possibly can, and that's all anyone can ever ask of anyone. Just do better.
You know what's interesting? I actually hear both sides. So I hear the ladies as well. I think this is a time and season as well, in terms of the word, and David said this as well, in terms of using choose better. it is very similar, and I'll be honest, I've used this. I'm not gonna lie to you, I've used this. Ladies, I'm sorry, but I've used it. Okay, it's very similar to I'll pray about it. I ain't gonna pray about it. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. You told me your problems. I ain't gonna pray about it. Okay, but I'm tired of hearing your problems. I'm not gonna lie to you. Let Jesus handle it, but I ain't gonna pray about it. I'm gonna waste my hour praying about it. Okay, because and sometimes we do that, right? We say sometimes we say to people, "Oh, sis, I'm gonna pray about it." Oh, bro, I'm gonna pray about it for you. You ain't praying for Jack. You go to bed. You go to sleep tonight good. And you're gonna wake up. You're gonna be like, did you pray about it? They're gonna like, oh my God, God changed it. Like, yeah, well done, brother. You ain't praying for nothing. Okay? You ain't praying. Thank you, God. You ain't praying for nothing, right? We sometimes do that because we're tired or we don't want to necessarily spend the energy getting involved, right? So sometimes that can also happen as well. And then the other side too as well, sometimes, and I'll be honest with you, sometimes, and I remember I had to apologize to my friend, my lady friend, because she was talking to me about the issue, and it had been like the third time I heard the same issue. And honestly, it was the third time doing the exact same thing. And I said, just choose better. I'm tired. Just choose better. And because I didn't want to hear any more of the situation. So I think, again, it can be dismissive because it requires a time in the season for choose better. Ooh, I'm sorry, that's a gas coming, but it requires better time to have the choose better. And it does come with knowledge as well, as you were saying, David, as well. And the ladies were saying that you must have a background of that person. You know what I mean? Like, if I know you for a few years, I can say to you, choose better. Because I'm like, bro, come on. You know what you were doing. I know you. I know what you're about. But if I don't know you, if you come onto my platform and I'm doing an interview with you for 5 minutes, choose better. It's like, well, I don't even know you. I don't know anything you've been through. I don't know what's going on. I don't know anything that's happened to you. So it's like, it then becomes dismissive, and I can see how that can be also problematic as well. So I think that's what we're kind of seeing in that aspect of the choose better. It can be problematic in that aspect. It requires knowledge in order to be able to say that quick definition of something, choose better as well. Okay. Who opened their mic?
Me. Can I do
Yes.
like a quick follow up to that?
Yes.
Okay. So just listening to everybody speaking on this, I do think there are a couple of things that we also need to be considering. We were talking about discernment before. In my mind, that is a spiritual gift. So if we're talking about using discernment, then you bringing God into the picture. I don't know if you really want to do that or not. If you're not really about that life, using terms like discernment, I don't know how much that's going to help you. I think it would, though. There's always room for God, but just something to consider. The other thing to consider is when we say choose better, it's like, okay, well, what standard are we going by? Because it seems to me, at least in Western society, we don't really have a set standard. We don't really have like a guidebook that we can use when it comes to dating practices or things that we're supposed to be looking for. Everybody has their own thing that they're doing. A person in the chat was just telling me about a Ghanaian practice that they do where they basically will go like a pre-engagement thing that they do where the families are meeting up and they have to exchange information. I was like, oh, that's cool that a whole country does that. It's not like that here in America. So I think that's also something that we have to keep in mind too, is like at this point now, for over the last, I would say 100 years, we've slowly been deconstructing all of the practices that we had before. There is no one set standard. There is no one set practice that we can use. So just something to keep in mind.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely hear that as well. In terms of cultural aspects, I think choose better is according to actually nobody's standard except yours. So if it's below your standard, you've got quote unquote choose better, quote unquote. This is, you know what I mean? So the choose better actually is really in alignment with your standards. If you know that's not a standard that you require to be treated as, that's what it is. So it's more about those things that require for a healthy relationship. I think what I am hearing from the ladies specifically is the choose better should be coming also with also the instructions in terms, or at least some map and guide in terms of when you say choose better, how do I choose better? So that sounds to me like, would this be fair to say? Is there a knowledge gap when it comes to trying to sort out the wolves in sheep's clothing? Is that what we're saying? In terms of spotting them, would we agree that? Doctor, you open your mic. Go for it.
Oh God, yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, the wolves. The wolves be howling, child.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I had to learn how to move in a room full of vultures for years before I ever really met a man that I was not related to, who wasn't fully on the nonsensical shiska bibbles. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I don't, and don't get me wrong, I really felt what Sean was saying. Sean has, he's kind of like that math teacher that is just like, here's the problem, here's how you do it, and I can appreciate that. I don't always like that because sometimes math is not my favorite subject, right? But I appreciate it because we all got to know how to do our math. We all got to know how to get our credit, get our money, we got to know how to count this mess. And that it comes down to emotional math too. But the wolves have really, when you are really struggling just to even know what you're looking at, having anybody just to even say the reality. How many times have women, and I'm just saying as a general gloss, even in the chat, ladies, how many times have you thought you were going to give the cookies to someone who was going to value the cookies, but all they wanted to do was just take the cookies and go? You thinking they gonna bake some more cookies with me, they gonna do this with me, they gonna get in the kitchen with me, and they just cookie monstered and out. And it's like, well, wait a minute, what happened? And you done waited, you done talked, you done asked questions, you done did credit checks, you done did everything. You just, sometimes you just don't know. But when a wolf want a wolf, they gonna wolf. And then you got to go to the kumite and you got to be the crazy one. And you know what I'm saying? It's just like, but that's for those who know. You know what I'm talking about, girl. You know, I saw your face. I know you know what I'm talking about. All right. It's for those who know. I'm sorry.
No, don't be.
I got emotional, child. That wolves be wolfing, child. They get on my nerves.
So again, would it be fair to say that we, like I said, you said it's a knowledge aspect. We should be providing some knowledge.
I had to God had to help me. I mean, like this whole notion of me going to other people for leadership and all this and that was not happening for me. I had to really get back to self, and I really had to get in alignment, and I had to get those direct downloads, like getting into the dream state. I had to really get into praying. I'm like, because it wasn't adding up. Nothing was adding up. And I'm like, okay, this is my walk. This is my journey. God is placing these things in front of me, not to break me down, but to show me that with God, I got this. I can keep walking. I failed. Every time I failed, it was because I put my faith into some type of human and not God first. And it wasn't that I was trying to be like a defiant type of creature. It was just, we see each other. You're a person I can touch, I can talk to. God don't necessarily show up on YouTube like that.
That's fair.
Unless you know how to discern to hear the words through this person talking.
So then obviously when you now realize the equation is put your trust in, whichever it is, trust in man, trust in God, learn how to psychology, whichever. Would that still then come down to you then now you got that knowledge? Would you be accountable?
Yeah, I have a much better ability to be accountable. A much better ability. I can get to it faster. Fair. Yeah, absolutely.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. I hear that. Thank you. Okay, sorry, Darla, you had a question earlier on, and I did say you can ask it, but I don't know if you still remember the question. I kind of took it away. So if you remember it, please ask the question.
No, but I wrote it down because my memory is trash.
Same here. That's why maybe.
So this was actually for Corey, and it kind of ties back to the panel from yesterday. So we were talking. Somebody in the panel, somebody in the chat was talking about things that women were doing for accountability, but it was more focused on like self inner work. So they brought up like yoni steams and counseling, that sort of thing. And then so the pushback from the men was like, okay, well, that's great, but that don't help us. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because I wondered if for you guys, if you see your lady doing inner work, would you guys consider that accountability, or would you rather that she's coming directly to you saying, Kojo, I have to, what do you need from me in order to you to be satisfied that I'm holding myself accountable? Like what would that look like for y'all? And is there a difference from the introspective work that we're doing?
Boys?
Okay. I think, was that directed at me?
It was directed to you, but anybody can answer.
Every man here.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. So I think that people do apologize in different ways. I think people only have that accountability aspect. Show it a little bit differently when it comes to what you're saying, your example that you're giving. I think it's important to make sure that the point is getting across to whoever you impacted. So if you're doing the work yourself, if that person is seeing the work that you're doing, that's a good thing. They can acknowledge the fact that you're doing the work, which is the most important thing, right? Because people can apologize and not do anything else and just leave it there. It's more important to do that work. So to answer that question, I believe that showing the work is more important.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, I think for most guys, we're result oriented and we're very sometimes performative. That's why oftentimes when you're trying to tell us about your day and somebody the coffee man who took forever to deliver your coffee, we start talking about maybe I need to go and talk to that guy so he can deliver your coffee quickly. No, she's just expressing her feelings. She's not asking you to get your Superman cape on. So for us, we just want to see that change more than the I'm sorry, babe, and more than you putting on your lingerie and saying, okay, let me apologize to you. No, let me see the change. Let me see you actually make some changes. And then I can really appreciate that you heard me and you took what I said. But just changing without actually admitting that you were wrong or that what you did, even if you don't think is wrong, offended me, to me is not taking accountability. There needs to be that admittance, and then I need to see the follow-up action, which is your changing.
Okay, that's fair.
Sean?
Yeah, I think I've learned that there's just some trigger words that I look for, like up front to kind of like diffuse, and allow me to just like calm down in the moment. And I've learned, like, when I hear those words, then it kind of just calms me and allows me to be okay with what's happened. I think the fight gets brought out of me when I feel deflection and I feel long-winded stories and I feel excuses are being applied. Then that's when I want to fight. I'm not making it right. I'm just saying that's, for me, what I need to hear that apology is the immediate acknowledgement and the acceptance and the contrition. I need those things up front. If there's something you want to tell me or explain to me right away, during the process, I'm okay with that. But I need you to hit those points for me first, especially if you hurt me or you did something that hurt us. I need you to deal with me first before you start dealing with you. So.
All right.
I think for me, I'm with you, Sean. There's trigger words that I like to hear. Me personally, I just want the person to acknowledge, hey, you know what? I admit I was wrong. I admit I was wrong. And if there's something that needs to be worked on or whatever, then say, hey, look, next time I'm not going to do it this way. I think because I'm very cerebral, I like that. You know what I mean? And I remember, I'll give you a quick story. When I did confront one of my exes about when she did the cheating thing, when I asked her, she was like but you know what happened to me, and the situation, I was fuzzy in my mind, in my head I was screaming please, but I had to keep it calm, you know what I mean? But in my head I was like, so you're not going to just say sorry, you made a mistake and forgive, that's it. Like, do you know what I mean? I know I was moving mad, I did this, then give me the explanation. The explanation came first, which made me feel like it was ingenuine. And I know that maybe now I'm listening, I think, okay, that's how women are kind of thinking. But for me, when you give an explanation, it's almost like me going into work and them ask me why are you late, and that's fair enough. They ask you why you're late, you explain. But what you really should be saying first and foremost, boss, I'm sorry. I'm late, my bad. I apologize, right? But when you start going, well, my dog ate my homework, the boss was late, you know how it is. The trains didn't start. You can do it the first time. Get to the third time, your boss will be like, we don't accept that. That's an excuse now. Even though the reality is you're trying to say there are things that got in the way of why I did what I did. So for us as men, it sounds like well, for me, let me say that. Sorry, I shouldn't say for the men. For me personally, I just want you to just admit, hey, I'm wrong, my bad, I'm sorry, this is what I did. I did it. Like Broken Bougie said, listen, come out. I did it. Now what? I'm like, all right, cool. At least you admitted it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I could take that in.
Any more questions from the panelists? Any questions to ask?
I have a question.
Burning questions? Yep, go for it, Chloe.
So accountability when it comes to actions afterwards, right? How soon is too soon, right? Question. So for instance, just go back to the cooking situation, right? I'm asking for myself at this point. How does it come off genuine as opposed to just doing it because it was brought up? For instance, like the song, like I want flowers, but I want you to give me flowers, not because I told you to give me flowers, but because you want to give me flowers, right? So how does it come off genuine as if like, I'm just going to start stepping up and cooking, but I don't want to make it seem like tomorrow night I'm going to start cooking. You know what I mean? Like, what does that look like when it comes to making those actions seem genuine after the accountability has been taken? Because a lot of guys will sometimes say, you're just doing it because we talked about it. Or just girls. Girls will say, oh, you're doing it because I said it. Like, I want you to really do it because you want to, not because I said do it.
I think it really boils down to setting proper expectations. So just using your particular example as far as cooking is concerned, if you know you want to increase your cooking, have a conversation with your husband and saying, okay, when you mention me cooking more, what does more look like to you? Get his understanding and then set your own understanding based upon his. So if he says 4 and then you're like, I don't really want to do 4, let's agree to 3. And you guys agree to 3, then that's how you move forward. He has an understanding of what you want to do, and you have an understanding. It's an agreement, and then you move forward from there. You can even include the start date. All right, I'll start cooking. Give me 2 weeks to get myself loose, to get myself ready. Get his cookbook. I saw online. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case is, but you can do that by having that conversation with your man, and just setting the right expectations.
But does that feel genuine? That's the question. Because I feel like, of course, like you want to do those things, but you don't want to make it seem like so prematurely, Like you want it to feel like it's something that you're doing because you understand, but you don't want to seem like you're just doing it just because that person said that's something that they want you to do.
Yeah, I think that, and this, I know in my marriage, when I was married, sometimes we kind of like struggle with these kinds of things. And there's nothing wrong with planning and having, set days for certain things doesn't take away from it, because it's about the doing, right? So if the issue is he wants you to cook more and be more participatory in the cooking in the household, that's not your thing. How you're going to participate in it, as long as you're doing it, you guys come up with a plan. Hey, maybe if he's like, listen, 2 days out of the week I want to break, you're like, one of the days I cook, the other days we're ordering takeout. We got pizza or Chinese on deck. What's your favorite? You know what I mean? I think it's just about being very intentional in that moment. And then every now and then throw a surprise. On the flip side, for the flowers thing, sometimes you got to spell it out for us. Like, hey, listen, they got great tulips at the Stop and Shop. I don't mind those if you bring those to me every 2 weeks when you get paid. Or, it doesn't just have to be on anniversaries and Valentine's Day. Or how about we plant a garden together? I mean, like, whatever it is, sometimes you got to just spell it out and be very specific, because if it's not happening, we tried to leave it to chance. We can't leave it to chance no more. We got to come up with a plan.
David, you want to answer the question?
Yeah, I think Sean gave a very good perspective from a married or person's perspective. And I think one thing I can say is when someone does something that we don't like and they're trying to make amends, we really need to try to give them an opportunity to do so. Give them an opportunity to make it up to you without you making it complicated. Without you saying, "Oh, you're doing it because I asked you to do it." Well, maybe that's the case, but maybe I just don't remember such things, or maybe I just forget. Now, if you have to keep reminding the person every time, then yeah, there's a problem there. But then after you said, "Oh, babe, I want you to buy me flowers," then the next day I buy you flowers, then you're like, "Oh, you're only buying it because I told you to buy me flowers." How do I survive this scenario? Because now you're just shooting me for doing what you said you wanted. So you actually being like, open to let the person love you or let the person do what you want them to do, I think is great. But then if it's now maintaining it, giving clues to remind the person is always good. To say, "Oh, babe, it looks like our flower vase is empty. What do you think?" Leave it there. A brother who loves you and who's smart gets the point. He buys a flower of $50 or whatever. I don't know how much they sell it in the States, but basically he does what makes you happy, that kind of thing. So I mean, that's how I see it.
I think I missed the mark, y'all. Transparency. My husband said the other night, "I don't feel like cooking," and I was like, "Oh, so then what we going to do?" Dang, I missed it, y'all. I missed it.
She said, "Well,
Well, I mean,
we here. What you won't do?"
We ordered Chinese food. Does that count? He had to order it though, so I think I dropped the ball completely. I could at least ordered it, right?
That's
Yeah.
accountability, Chloe. That's
And we appreciate you.
accountability. Yep, we love it.
Okay,
We
so
appreciate you.
okay, I got it.
I think Kim Gomez says which said the very same thing I was thinking, which was also as well. First and foremost, anytime you start to do something after someone's told you to do something, will always feel like it's not genuine. I mean, because you first started it off after they've told you to do something. What makes it genuine is the consistency. So it's the consistency after that. If you're able to maintain that, then the person comes off the neck and says, "Okay, they're not just doing it because of." Do you know what I mean? And when you're doing it without having to be asked or reminded again in future, that also then promotes that person going and saying, "Okay, well, the person is doing it because they want to do it." Do you know what I mean? I'm now not having to push for it. So that's what I would say. Like, that change as well. And look, I've learned something too. Okay, let me tell you something. I've been learning some stuff. Okay, when you talk to some married people, there's a thing called negotiations out here. Sometimes there's some stuff you just don't want to do. You have to negotiate. So if you say, "If I'm gonna cook," and some people don't like this because they think it's manipulative. Hey, listen, this is relationships. Sometimes there's things you don't want to do. You're like, "Babe, if I do this, okay, let's negotiate a little bit. Can you do this?" And sometimes it can work too. It's not always you should do it. I'm not saying it's every single thing, but sometimes there's a thing. If you really hate the thing, there's sometimes there maybe needs for negotiations where there's okay, I'm gonna give here. Okay, can I take a little bit here? That's it. You negotiate. So if it's a thing that you really don't like doing, yeah, sometimes you may have to negotiate a little bit. And you as you go through life, you realize that, all right, cool. Like, all right, she said like she doesn't like cooking. Okay, cool. You know what? She says she wants me to clean the garage a little bit. All right, I'm gonna clean the garage. Shoot, I want to get what I need to get out of the situation. So okay, I'm gonna clean the garage. But if that's going to get me to cook meal at the end of the day, I'm going to clean the garage because that's what I really wanted. So you bargain. Maybe I should say negotiate, but you bargain. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I've heard that works as well amongst married couples. What are you saying, Sean? You smile at me.
Yeah. Listen, we can negotiate a high quality quickie. Listen, let's barter our service.
I knew you was coming with the HQQ, B. I knew you was coming with the HQQ.
The HQQ,
HQQ. I knew you was coming with the HQQ. You know what I mean? Yeah. So love that. Thank you, Chloe, as well, for being honest and sharing a piece of your life as well, and just letting us know about your perspective as well. It does help as well. So thank you for sharing that, Chloe, as well. Any more questions from the guys or the girls, from the ladies and the gents? Sorry, apologies.
Can I ask the ladies, because we've been talking mainly about the guys and how we sort of, can the ladies tell us, for example, how you want us to make it up to you when we offend you or do
That's a
something
good
you don't
question.
like? Do we have to
Good question.
always take you to Chris, or can we just go to KFC and make up, or just bubble bath and candles? I don't know. You just tell us.
Yes,
Tacos.
David, tell us the secrets.
I'll I'll dip in on I'll dip in on this a little bit. Um, whatever, if there was an offense committed, I mean, it can't be anything like cheating, right? That's a different situation. That's a betrayal. But something that's a misunderstanding, something that's, a workable offense, that it's a misdemeanor offense, so to speak. Just be genuine. Often I think you'll get, at least from my personal perspective, there's been a lot of flattening of whatever it is, whether it's generalization, lack of accountability, or even the accountability. It's like it's not really authentic. It's kind of just to get me to shut up. And one thing Koj had mentioned in one of his previous videos, he don't like it when people tell him what to do. That's a thing for him. Now sometimes he may have to deal with that sometimes, right? He says he's growing. But I don't like it when people are inauthentic with me. You know what I mean? And that's and I've felt, since I don't like that, I always have to face it. I always seem to notice it. I always, you know what I'm saying? So I've had to learn how to let go of a lot of things, and walk away from a lot of different people, because there's certain things that I'm just not going to put up with, depending on how it carries weight with me. If it's like my job, I might put up with you for a couple checks because I'm gonna get these checks. But if it gets to the point where there's just no growth, there's no opportunity for advancement, you ain't about to get 10 years out of me. I'm about to do this 24 months, 12 months, at 6 months, and I'm rolling. Same thing with relationship. You're not about to keep getting no high quality quickies, long sessions, these caresses. I'm a certified massage therapist. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. You're not getting none of this. And I be making my own oils and my fragrances, and I be cooking, and I be making I don't play with me. You'll get nothing. You won't. You have to go order some Chinese food because I can cook too. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. I will be about this much. But but I had to learn how to. I just had to learn how to just say, you know what, this is worth me putting a little bit more investment in and patience in, and this right over here, this is not worth another second of my time. And I had to learn that for myself.
Appreciate Doc. Appreciate ladies. What can we do?
Just do. I think love your woman the way she loves to be loved. So I'm affectionate, and I like my husband's um, love language is acts of service. So when he would cook, because y'all know that's his thing, he'll make my plate and he'll bring it to me. And then, like, he's not very affectionate, but it's those little things, like those little hugs. So I think you just have to know what makes your woman feels loved after something intense, so that it becomes a comfort zone again. So whatever her love language is, you might need to cater to that, so that she can understand that you heard her, you feel her, you understand her, and you love her. Because ultimately, when we start getting into those back and forth situations, you start to feel like, do you even like me anymore? Do you even want to be here anymore? Do you want to stay married? Like, those continuous thoughts, like, are we going down the wrong path? So I think that for a man and a woman, when you take that accountability, you own up to it, then you make up. That's the beauty of it, right?
Thank you, Chloe. Brooke Abuji, talk to me. What can we do to be accountable for you guys and then make it up for you guys? Tell me so I can love you better.
It depends on the situation. Sometimes just a simple "I'm sorry, I'm good." Other times it's jewelry. Other times it's getting your back blown out. It just depends on what the situation is. It's just one of those. But I think the problem is I'm more of a say you're sorry, don't do it again. But I know one thing that a lot of women will do, just like Dr. David said earlier, you say you want the flowers, I get the flowers, then you say, well, why you just did it because I said the other day. Sometimes we as women need to know how to shut the hell up. Take, because everything doesn't need to be expressed. If the man is trying and you can tell that he's sincere, take the sorry, take the gift, take whatever, and let's move on. And just don't do it again.
Appreciate you. V, how can we how can we make it better apart from breaking backs?
I was saying getting the back broken definitely helps, but either way, that definitely helps. But either way, okay, I'm gonna act right. Okay, I'm be serious. So either way, my love language is physical touch and acts of service. So I'm with Corey with making the tacos, and then you get a massage, you're good. But it depends on how big the transgression is. But most of the time, if you have like lots of love in your heart for that person, you're pretty patient, and just an I'm sorry will work, and acknowledging what they did. And chocolate helps too. So
Loving this. So gift giving usually works. Dahlia, talk to me.
I guess I'm the loner on this here. I actually I don't like getting gifts after stuff like that because I attach memories to it. I'm kind of sentimental in that sense. So if you give me something like a piece of jewelry, I'm forever going to be thinking about whatever issue that we just had. And it's like it's tainted now. I don't want it. Don't do that to me. I want gifts to be something positive. I don't want it with that. For me, I'm more cerebral like Kojo is, probably because my love language is words of affirmation. You got me in between the ears. That's how you get me. So I want to know when you're saying you're sorry, the whole contrition piece, I want to know why you're sorry. I want to know that you thought about this. I want to know that I said my piece. I done, just blew fire at you. Don't dismiss me because that's an immediate trigger. I want to know that you heard what I said. Take your time, process it, marinate on it, come back to me, tell me that you heard what I had to say, that you understand why I'm upset, and you did some introspective work. You said, okay, here's where I can take accountability. This is my moral failing, that I did such and such a thing, and you ain't got to worry about no more. I'll handle it. I don't need to see you handling it. I just want to know that you did. So
definitely hear you on that, Dahlia. Definitely hear you on that. I like a conversation too, man. Conversation, say you're sorry, and now we'll solve all issues. I'm telling you that now for free.
We're both happy.
Definitely.
See, then we're both
exactly.
Happy.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the gift.
Yeah, ladies, always get yours.
Yeah. Amen. Get yours. Any more questions? Anyone else got a question they wanted to ask while the panelists are here? Any other questions? Actually, I probably should make some comments, but you got a question?
Yeah. So I want the ladies to answer David's question. For the way I think for us, like, right, what would you do for us if you to right your wrong?
Yeah, that's the hard part. I told y'all I missed the cue last week.
Oh man.
Well, Corey, it would depend on. First, I would have to see, what you like. What are your love languages? Now, me, all the love languages are mine. I'm a Leo. So you know how we are. I take them all. Anyone, whatever. And what we talked about in the After Dark the other night? I don't want to talk about it right now in the public. That would be part of my sorry.
Yes, baby.
Yeah. Coach remembers.
I wasn't there, but I can promise you that's probably part of everybody's sorry.
But I mean, seriously though, what would you like? I mean, like I said before, some things can be simple. Some men, maybe cook your favorite meal, take you out, something you really like. You know, it just really depends on the person. I mean, what would you require, Mr. Blackout? What would you require?
Well,
Blackout.
Yeah. So, I want some tacos. I'll take it.
Why you gotta say it so sexy? I don't understand. It's tacos. I want some tacos. Like, you trying to marinate the tacos? Like,
yes. You want some tacos served up in some lingerie? Is that where we going at?
Ooh. That sounds.
Don't take Corey there. Don't take Corey. Corey there will take us to the pits with this, bro. I mean, stay on task. You want tacos?
So it seems like men are universal with what they want.
Honestly, I won't lie to you. It pretty is. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know.
That's why I asked what the ladies want, because you see, you guys differ.
No, I like men. I take Delash. I told y'all, did you say Delash? I'll take the Delash too, even though the Delash is already there. I'll take the extra Delash.
HQQ for the win.
That's right.
HQQ.
That's right.
HQQ. What was the question again?
No, I don't want that, man. I want something that takes a little bit more effort, to be honest with you, man. If I'm getting it already, I'm already getting that. You know, I don't know.
So when we saw you get it.
Don't spoil it for me, bro. I want it.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
You get the extra.
But that's the thing about that. I think that's why sometimes let me speak for myself. Sometimes I feel like it's like the shortcut, because like I feel like when men say they sorry, they have to go through so much to prove that they sorry. Exactly. And like for women, we just like, okay, bam, meet me in the bedroom and it's good. That's simple. So that's why I feel like, is that enough, or is that really enough?
It's not for me.
Well, I mean, it's the acknowledgement and then the apology and then the commitment to changing the behavior, then the sex.
In that order.
We spent the last 2 hours talking about that. The sex is the cherry on the top. You know,
right. That's the signature of the contract.
Yeah, exactly. It seals it. Mm-hmm. Literally.
But then I don't think that's fair, because eventually what you guys do to prove you sorry to us leads to what you guys want anyway.
Well, listen, if we're doing it right, you all will benefit.
We
shouldn't be one-sided. What you talking about, Chloe?
You still get part of it.
We both benefiting in the end. When you're wrong, I benefit. When I'm wrong, you benefit.
Well, we won both ways.
Yeah.
It's punishment for me, Chloe. To go there is punishment for me. And, you know, I'm punishing myself being there. You know what I mean? You have to understand that. You know? And besides, just the same way we want something, I'm sure there's something that you'd want from us as well in that area. So just request what you require from us. You know what I'm saying? Some of you want to chain up your man them. Chain up your man them. Whatever you want to do with me. Don't chain me up.
Yeah,
but
don't chain
I'm saying do what you will do. You know what I mean?
I have repressed trauma from
you might
slavery.
Thank you, Sean.
But I would say, like, you know what's been going on around social media a lot? Women are complaining that every time a man massages them, it always leads to the panties being dropped. So if I did the wrong, then I give you a full massage and that's it, if that's all you want. Now, if you tell me different,
now you know that ain't gonna end well.
That is a setup, Sean. Don't start.
Well, I'm
saying
it
is a setup, and I'm ready to set it up.
It's a setup, Sean.
I'll give you a bath. I'll massage your feet. You know, like whatever feels, you know, whatever floats your boat.
I give men flowers, so. Because you guys don't get them that often, so
I appreciate that. I'm gonna blow some backs out. Okay,
I did
I appreciate you. You can buy me a pair of Jordans. You know, I don't want the flowers though.
Don't do me like that. I was trying to be sweet.
If I mess up, what I'll do for her is I'll wash her hair.
Say what?
That's what I do.
Say what? Wait, what?
I will wash.
I heard this. I said what?
I will wash her hair.
Oh, okay. Because I thought I heard something else, sir, and I was in the
Okay.
gutter.
No, that is everything. I'm with you, Corey.
Nah,
That is
bro.
everything.
See all this hair?
When you
That's-
wash that hair
that's
and you
what we
scratch
say.
that scalp,
Corey
and
buying
she's doing like
tacos
this.
and
know how it's
washing
gonna
hair.
end.
I'm with it.
Oh,
You know
Oh
how
my
that's gonna
God.
end.
Yeah,
exactly.
I repeat. So I do the tacos, I wash your hair, and I throw in the foot massage.
This nigga so
Okay.
sweet.
Well, my soulmate won't let that
Corey,
happen. What's
we
the
do
next
two strand
result?
twists. Corey, we do 2-strand twists.
Do I what?
2-strand twist after you wash the hair. We got some
Nah,
natural.
see, now you're asking too much. Now you asking me to go outside my range. It's going outside my field study.
That's outside my expertise.
You'll probably take it down.
It's outside my
Corey,
field
now.
of
Sit
study.
there and wash your hair because you try your best, and then your hair be all tangled. I've been through that.
Corey, you have us thinking that I so when talk about something, so you won't wash my hair?
That is very loving and sexy.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
boy, you gotta learn how to detangle. I'm not even going.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Listen, when the girl washed my hair, I ain't got much of it, but it felt good. I ain't gonna lie
That
to you.
feels good,
That kind
man.
of care was
Feels good.
beautiful. So
The scalp
I can imagine it
massage.
feels
I
good.
think it's that
Bruh,
scalp massage.
it was like
Yeah,
beautiful. I just was
Yeah,
there. Like,
that's
I'm gonna
You
try
know
that. I
what?
never
Yeah.
did that before.
I'm a puddle after that.
I need more intimate things that are not sexual. I understand that. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you guys for giving me those ideas. Thank you.
That's a good one. I like that, Corey.
that is.
Shout out to Corey. Someone said bubble bath and candles. I like that. Okay. Yes. We'll do a video. Well, one day we'll do a video on that. We'll do a video on that, a panel on that. What do we, men and women, what they require for intimacy other than sex? Okay,
Yeah,
intimacy other than sex.
I think it's important that if you're with someone to pay attention to what they like. Because I often believe that we do things that we think we would like and what we appreciate, and we expect them to have the same reaction without necessarily doing that due diligence of investigating what they like. And it's just like getting a present, you know. If having sex is the cherry on top, okay, cool. But how did you dress the package? You know, sometimes the how the present is wrapped, not necessarily in lingerie or whatever. It's just how did we get to that point? If the goal is to eventually have that physical, intimate connection, well, how did we pathway ourselves to that point? You know, if I'm going to pay attention to Sean, for example, and I done messed up, and he don't want to hear my long drawn out storytelling on how I did him wrong or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Let me practice this. You know what, babe? I did this. I'm sorry. And I'm saying sorry in my secretary outfit with my red shoes on, 6-inch heels. Because I know that's what Sean gonna want to see.
I mean,
Right?
Sean definitely want to see that.
That's right, Dr. 100.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's a, you know, how am I observing him? Because I want to observe. And if I'm going to trigger Kojo and be like, I need you to get in the bedroom right now. He'll like, don't tell me what to do. I'm gonna tell you what to do right now. You know what I'm saying? Because you know,
keep preaching,
you know
sis.
what I'm
Keep
saying?
preaching.
You know,
Tell me
and
what to do.
I might have to learn how to
Tell
sing
me
a
what to
couple
do.
notes for Corey, because you know he ain't gonna come at me with these velvet voice all the time. I'm gonna have to show him what I do. You know what I'm saying? It's just different things to observe. How do you observe someone, and so that they know that you are actually paying attention to who they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if I care about you, I want you to know that I see you, and that your words and who you are is felt. If I care about you, you know what I mean? And that's what I would like in return. So that's what I try to exude out whenever I can, personally.
Thank you, Doctor. And by the way, guys, listen, you know, in the bedroom, I don't mind being told what to do. That's the only place. Okay.
Tell me,
Tell me
please.
what to do. Tell me, please.
Order me around.
Order me around. I don't mind that. But listen, we've come to the end, so I'm gonna get Sean to do the benediction. And yes, we will definitely be booking another session to have the live panel. I think we will talk about intimacy without sex. I think that's a good topic for this generation, especially it's not every day scalping and rubbing massages that lead to particular behaviors. So we'll talk about what works for both sexes in that particular respect as well. Sean, give us a benediction, and we'll be on our way.
All right. So listen, I think we had a great discussion tonight. I think we had we showed a great example of listening to one another, of really truly listening for understanding. And I think this is what we want in our relationships, right? And I think it started with an acknowledgement that we are different, and that is okay. That's what makes us beautiful. That's what makes, us work together, because in those differences, we learn some new things, right? So we learned from the ladies that they do not resist accountability, but they want to be heard. They want to be understood. They don't want to be blamed. They are open to accountability, but the accountability has to come with love. It has to come with change behavior and an acknowledgement of who and what they are, and where we also might have played a role in the situation. We need to give grace to one another. We've learned from the men that, when the wrong comes our way, we want to hear it. We want you to acknowledge it. We're not saying we don't want to hear all the excuses or the reasons or the why, but we just need that acknowledgement first, because that helps us to feel like you're understanding where you went wrong, so you can do something different and better. And I think us giving each other the room and the grace to be who we are, what we are, when we lead in love, listen in love, we're always going to end in love. And what I'll end with is a great scripture. It is in Corinthians, it's 2 Corinthians 9. And it says, each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. So it is a cheerful giver. So whatever you give, when you give your love, when you give your apology, when you give your time, your energy, give it with a cheerful heart. Back to you, Coach.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. Listen, it's been a good conversation, and as I promised, we'll be laughing by the end. And surely we were laughing at the end. Listen, this is great to have this kind of conversation. I think everyone can agree. It's been a good conversation. It's brought some understanding. We know there are differences between men and women, but I think the key thing that we've learned today is that there are differences, and what we need to do is learn those differences so that we can maneuver amongst one another in the right ways, and we can hold that grace out for each other as well. So really appreciate everybody in the chat. I do see a few new faces. I see a couple of new guys in there as well. Listen, this is a woman and men safe space. So I wanna welcome you as well to the space. I want to let you know women and men are equal in this space. We don't, just in case anybody's here, we don't downplay women. We don't want to ask them to dim their light. We don't cuss them. This is a great space where both men and women can shine and be appreciative of one another as well. So welcome to the space for those of you who are new. Anybody here as well, if you don't already know, if you want to join the community, join the Discord that we have going as well. We have great conversations in there, especially now that Love is Blind is out tomorrow. We're going to be chatting it up on Love is Blind tomorrow as the show comes up. So if you want to have your say, I know that when the show comes out, some of you want to be venting and feeling some way, then make sure you're already joining the community. We've got a great community already as well. So I really appreciate it. Those of you who have made mods in here, if you email me, I will get you guys into the Discord. If you're already a mod, I'll get you into Discord as well. But honestly, thank you so much, panelists, Dr. Broker Bougie, Dahlia, Sean, David, V, Chloe, Corey, Nanena. I know you guys wanted to join. There's a few others as well, AAB, who wanted to join as well. Listen, we'll be back next week again. I believe Tuesday I'm free again. So now we're free on Tuesdays now. So next week Tuesday we'll do it same time again. I think I start with at 9 o'clock. So we'll do it at 9 o'clock again. We'll be at the same time. We'll talk this time about obviously intimacy without sex. And if you want to join and have a conversation, email me and I'll put a post up tonight. So I'm going to do it straight after we finish this, because if I don't, I ain't going to put it up. I'm going to forget. So I'll put up the post straight after this so that you can put your ring in the hat, as they say, and join the live for the next time as well. All right, listen, we'll see you again very, very soon. And we'll be back again, I believe, Thursday night for the reunion on Married at First Sight. Oh, Jay, I'm sorry. Jay, I know. I apologize, baby. Listen, we'll be back again on Thursday night, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Much love and appreciation, guys.